Collapsed buildings lay everywhere, with pools of blood staining the ground and bodies strewn across the battlefield. The air hung heavy with the stench of death. Oscar Sage raised his voice into the broken silence. "Reply if there are any survivors. Reply if you cannot speak, move, or let out a noise, so please," he called out, but no sound came back. So in the end, there's no one. Am I the only survivor? He, who had consolidated demons for the first time and led humanity to collapse, the High Priest, was gone. In the war against the demons who crossed over from the demonic realm, and the White Tower mages who had stood alongside him, everything had been placed on the line for the future of humanity. If it weren't for us, no one could have done it. Oscar Sage thought grimly. But I have confirmed the death of the High Priest, he reported into the eerie silence. A figure appeared, Edna, the world's final dragon, and the observer tasked with recording history. Edna saw Laplace landed softly beside him. "I have good news and bad news," Edna announced. "Start with the bad news," Oscar Sage instructed. As expected, the demonic army has invaded the White Tower. In that process, most of the mages have passed away. The Mage Tower was partially destroyed, and the mages and research resources were almost all incinerated. Oscar Sage's face barely twitched. And the good news? The Imperial forces arrived sooner than expected. They were able to save some of the survivors, including your disciples. "That's a relief," he said softly. "Do you regret your choice today?" Edna asked. Oscar Sage exhaled, voice steady. "No, I don't. Each person was someone I had selected and brought myself. I cannot say that I regret this choice in front of them." "Do you have anything else to say?" "Take care of my disciples from time to time," he requested. "They are still young, so I'm sure they are anxious. I'll check in on them occasionally." Edna then bowed deeply to the Mage Tower ruins. Oscar Sage raised a brow, a dragon bowing her head to a mere human. "You have the right to receive it," Edna declared. "The continent and I will not forget the sacrifices the heroes of the White Tower made." "Well, of course, that should be the case," he agreed, though the weight in his heart remained. In truth, it would be a lie to say he had no regrets. He might have been the best mage, but he wasn't a good leader. Yet if, just if, he were given another opportunity, even if he were to be called a villain, he would live a selfish life just for his people. He wanted to live that kind of life. April 28, 3:47 p.m. I have confirmed the death of the White Tower's Mage Tower Master, Oscar Sage, High Priest deceased, mages killed in action. A voice recorded. Then morning came. Light smashed over his face. He stirred, bolting upright in a panic. "Hey, I'm all wet," a voice grumbled. "You was going to switch out your towel. Your sleeping habits sure are nasty. You don't even show gratitude when I've been nursing you." The voice belonged to France. "Sleeping habits," Sage muttered, confused. "I slept, and in a defenseless state at that. No, more importantly, I should have died, huh? Why is my heart? I'm sure the High Priest pierced my heart. What's going on?" At that moment, Elder Maxim barged in, door slamming open. "You're up angry," he growled. "Older, calm down," France pleaded. "It hasn't even been 5 minutes since he opened his eyes." "Move, France. I've already overlooked it a few times. This time, I will make sure to make a human out of this bastard." "He's still a patient," France insisted. Sage's mind reeled. "How am I alive?" Yeah, you also find it fascinating that you're alive, right?" Maxim said darkly. "Judging from your robe, you're a mage of the White Tower. Explain the current situation in detail." "Hey, what's wrong?" France asked, concerned. Explain. Maxim's anger erupted, and he slapped Sage hard. "You have really lost it. You should be reflecting and begging." He raised a hand again, but Sage instinctively formed a wind shield. The wind's tent formed instantaneously, blocking the elder's wrist, bending it like straw. He realized then that this low-level scrub hadn't even thought ahead before attacking. The wind shield was already fading. "Wait, this pathetic magic," Sage muttered. "Emph," Maxim grunted. "This wind shield was pretty good. So you weren't just playing around all the time, huh? I'll postpone the disciplinary action about the embezzlement of research fees. Focus on recovering for now. Be on your way." "Hey, are you crazy, Sage?" France hissed. To think the windshield disappeared the moment I used it. Sage thought to himself. How long have I been asleep for? You know what Elder Maxim's personality is like. France grumbled. You're a bit off. Sage checked his internal mana circuits. My mana circuits, mana quantity, and mana purity are all shit. This is really my body. What happened to my body? What day is it today? He asked aloud. September 21st. You've been unconscious. I've been asleep for 5 months. What are you talking about? It's been a day at most, France said, baffled. Whatever. Call Lloyd. And if he's not here, call Gilly or Shasha. I'll hear the exact situation from them. Forget the traitors. France snapped. Why are you saying the tower's master's name so informally? Traitors. You forgot about that too. Are these side effects? France's face twisted. Lloyd Schultz abandoned the White Tower and became a disciple of the Red Tower Master, and Gilead Dominic stole and ran with a high-level magic book. Oh, dare you spout such bullshit. What the? There's no shaking in the air around him. France thought. Sage's eyes sharpened. So Shasha is the Mage Tower Master. He's incredible. How can a 5-year-old become Tower Master? Why leave out the 20 before that? France scoffed. Yeah, there are some who have incredible imaginations. Why are you getting so mad at a young kid? Oscar Sage. But for a fabrication, that was pretty natural. Then Sage caught his reflection in a nearby mirror. I can't believe it, even after seeing it, he murmured. So this is 20 years after I died. The world had developed astonishingly. Glowing things lit the streets, streetlights they called them. Metal vehicles moved along roads, cars. It was all thanks to the magic engineering revolution. They would have loved to see this, Sage thought wistfully. Back when the world was collapsing, there were only those with eyes that had given up on everything. Quickly, he organized everything known about the owner of this body, Oscar Crushen. Taken into the White Tower at age 10, now 20 years old, and still a level 1 mage from a fallen noble family. A terrible mage, to only be at level 1 at 20. Perhaps desperate, he had embezzled research funds to buy an illegal elixir, which he drank, then collapsed. It made sense. If it had succeeded, it would have multiplied his mana several times over. If it failed, it would mean death. That's why it was illegal. France had claimed he was only unconscious for a day after taking it. But honestly, the guy should have already died from a mana outburst. What's this? Sage noted. Has way too much mana for a level 1 mage, and most of it is pure mana that hasn't even been refined yet. This is all from that cheap illegal elixir. What is this? A drop of blood fell, and within it, something was off. Why is there poison in the blood? He mused. Get it? Sage murmured. I have a grasp on what this situation is. First, that illegal elixir was definitely not a hoax. It's a proper elixir that would normally be impossible to get, even for a premium price. The problem is that Oscar Crushen didn't know there was poison in it. After considering how much poison is left and the time frame in which he collapsed, I'm sure of it. In other words, he didn't die from a mana outburst but from poison, and the level of the poison is too high to have been used to kill a level 1 mage. If it weren't for me, it would have been difficult to even find traces of it. I don't know who's playing games with my soul, but consequently, I've been given the second opportunity I was thinking about before I died. A selfish life for my people. This isn't bad for the start of that. Oscar Crushen, as payment for you lending me your body, I will avenge you. In the outskirts of Surin, a rough-looking man addressed his superior. Hey, we got news of the store. The guy reported. The man glared. Address me as boss. How many times do I have to tell you that? My apologies, boss. The man quickly corrected himself. So what is it? The store's been completely wrecked on the inside. Some mage destroyed it. What? Who the hell dared to do such a thing? I'm not sure. He seemed to be asking for the person who sold the elixir to him. Could it be Oscar Crushen? The boss scoffed. How's that possible? Oscar's a theory mage. Also, could someone on the verge of death, thanks to that elixir, be capable of defeating our guys? The underling hesitated. What if the White Tower decided to investigate this? Do you not remember who asked us to do that to Oscar? The boss snapped. was wearing the White Tower's ring. The one who made the request was a White Tower mage. Who knows? What kind of idiot would be so obvious about where they're from? The boss growled. At that moment, a figure emerged from the shadows. Who is it? The guy asked nervously. I tracked down the faint scent that remained in the bottle. Oscar Crushin said coldly. There are a lot more people involved than I thought. The boss stepped back, seething. Just how did you destroy my store? Yeah, you're right. That was me. Oscar's voice was calm, dangerous. I'm quite interested in what the two of you were talking about. Let's continue the discussion, shall we? The boss sighed. Ha! And here I was thinking of letting you go if you acted like you didn't hear anything. He gave a sharp order to his man. Kill him. Oscar's lips curled. If that's the game you'll play, I won't pull back my punches either. In a blur of motion, Oscar unleashed his wind cutter technique. In the span of seconds, sharp wind blades sliced through the man, his head falling cleanly to the ground. Can't believe only his head was cut off, Oscar muttered. Reminds me of that high priest's head. You son of a bitch. The boss snarled, pulling a trigger and firing bullets at him. Oscar watched the metal projectiles curiously. That's pretty interesting. I don't detect any. Just what principle is being used to produce this much power? You stopped bullets. These are called bullets. As intrigued as he was, Oscar smirked. As intriguing as it is, I'll return it to you for the time being. With a burst of magic, he shoved the boss to the ground. Key, you bastard. The man choked. Just so you know, your underlings won't be coming anytime soon. Oscar informed him coldly. All sounds coming from this room are blocked off, you see. A mere level 1 mage is able to cast silence, a level 5 magic spell. Well, not quite. What I used was sound bind. I simply bind any sounds to this room so they wouldn't get out. Oscar stepped closer. I'd like it if you'd comply and answer my questions. Who's the one who put in the request to harm me? I'm not saying. Oscar's foot struck the man's face with brutal force. Your pride's more valuable than your life. Now that Oscar had channeled wind inside the man's body, it should feel like thousands of needles piercing him from within. I don't like torturing others either. It gets too noisy if I do. So out with it. Tears streamed down the man's face. Please, I'll tell you everything. Please stop. Very well. Oscar agreed. Tell me everything you know about your patron. Gave us an elixir and some cash, telling us to sell that to you at a cheap price. I don't think rejection was possible to begin with. His appearance. He had a hood over his head, so we couldn't see his face, but he was definitely wearing a White Tower ring. Oscar's mind raced. That was probably a ruse to deceive this guy. But his scent. The man recalled. He had a unique, quiet scent, a refreshing and clear mint smell. That's all I know. Mint smell, huh? It's worth remembering. Oscar murmured. How were you going to deal with the aftermath after killing me? About that, the White Tower's currently busy with the withdrawal from the 4 main magic towers, so I didn't think they'd conduct a real investigation. Oscar's eyes narrowed. Wait, withdrawal from the 4 main magic towers? What are you talking about? Isn't that something you know more about than I do? I forgot it after consuming the elixir. Oscar admitted. I'll give you the documents. The man shakily handed him a bundle of papers. Oscar read them, eyes narrowing further. Starting with the White Tower, April 28th would be designated as the Day of the White Knight, because the High Priest died on that day. The Emperor commemorated the sacrifice of Oscar Sage by bestowing great benefits to the tower and exempting them from 30 years of tax. However, among all the magic towers, it was the White Tower that produced the worst results last year. The White Tower, which had lost everything 20 years ago, had not made a resurgence since. There was an important announcement coming from the imperial family at this year's White Night. Oscar scowled. The White Tower doesn't have advanced magic. I remember giving documents to Edna to prevent something like that from happening, though. And now, the White Tower produces the worst business results. Tell me what businesses the 4 main magic towers are running right now. The man quickly briefed him. The Yellow Tower of the East, which controls lightning, opened up the great magic engineering era, contributing to the creation of revolutionary items like street lamps and cars. The Blue Tower of the South contributed to the business of drinking water, agriculture, and potions. The desert-hailing Red Tower to the west joined militant ranks and assisted in missions like monster subjugations. What about the White Tower? They do delivery. Did you just say delivery? Like item delivery? The man nodded. Considering the post office of the White Tower and the Wind Riders who can fly, they have a great advantage in delivering items quickly and safely. Images came to Oscar's mind of the Wind Riders, the mages of the White Tower flying high in the skies. They had once ruled the skies, symbols of freedom and bravery, compared to dragons and eagles. And who pushed for such a ridiculous business exactly? From what I know, it was the current White Tower master. Oscar's voice dropped low. So my own brats. His mind spun. Okay, what's the drinking water and agriculture industry? Aren't potions the largest source of profit for a magic tower? Why is the Blue Tower taking that business? The Blue Tower's a bit different. The man explained. They practically have a monopoly over the potion market. Oscar frowned darkly. But it was the White Tower that was the biggest figure of the potion market 20 years ago. If only those potion creation methods weren't burnt. The man continued. The drinking water and agriculture business is selling clean water at an expensive price and bringing rain to drought-stricken areas. Why would people buy clean water? Oscar muttered. It's been the craze for rich people recently. They're acting like clowns just to earn a few more bucks. You can simply drink water from a well. The man let out a small laugh. The White Tower can't catch up in terms of profits compared to the other magic towers, he admitted. It's true the scale of their businesses is on another level. This year's White Night Festival is pretty much their last chance to prove their worth. Problem is, there's only 7 months left. Oscar glanced down at the man, wondering if he was dying from shock or blood loss, debating whether to save him. He glanced at the ledger on the floor, picking it up and scanning its contents. Arson, attacking people, illegal loans, extortion of valuables, even assassination requests. Practically a piece of dung with legs, Oscar muttered coldly. The man croaked weakly. Scar, sir. Be a good person in your next life. Oscar said and left him there. At dawn, back in the White Tower. I'm tired, Oscar grumbled, exhausted. I can't believe I'm this exhausted from using a few basic spells. Just what is up with this body? With my current state, will I even be able to use that magic? The one magic that made Oscar Sage the greatest mage in human history, Wind Archive. It dispersed before he could summon it. I need to get a complete grasp over my body's current condition first, he decided. I'll begin with a magic scan. I'll read more information on this body in the meantime. My memories are a mess. While Frank did tell me some information, it's crucial for me to know everything about Oscar Crushen if I want to save this body. He poured through the records. Oscar Crushen. Heir of Count Crushen, sole survivor of a disastrous mansion fire. Recognized for his genius early on, so highly regarded the magic world fought to recruit him. 6 years enrolled in the Empire Academy's magic faculty, never scored anything less than full marks. Published extraordinary theses proving his genius. But why is someone like that still level 1? Oscar frowned. That's why it was so fortunate. If he didn't have mana deficiency syndrome, he would have been a great mage capable of representing his generation. He scanned the body's mana circuits. Mana deficiency syndrome, Oscar murmured. If this is true, it makes sense why he's still level 1. He understands magic better than anyone else, but can't actually use it. The scan completed. What this is? He stared, stunned. He doesn't have mana deficiency syndrome. It's not an illness. Someone sealed his circuit. Mana deficiency syndrome, as its name implied, was a condition where one could neither circulate nor accumulate magic properly. A mage's potential was tied to the physical circuits installed atop their natural mana circuit, up to 20 of them. And the number of these circuits determined their mage level. However, if someone suffered from mana deficiency syndrome, their environment for magic circulation would remain incomplete. Even with a lifetime of training, such a person would be unable to surpass level 3, Yet, Oscar Crushen's case was different. His physical circuit wasn't innately defective. It had been tied up by someone else, on purpose. If this man was truly a genius, then he must have realized he didn't have mana deficiency syndrome. It would have been convenient if he'd kept a diary. Frank had mentioned Oscar Crushen was an alcoholic. But what if that, too, was a persona carefully constructed? If he knew someone had blocked his circuit and was after his life, it made sense he'd act as a reckless playboy to divert attention, to live carelessly while secretly trying to undo the chain binding him. In contrast, Oscar murmured to himself, "I just need to untee the knot. I'll be able to do it." As he rummaged through the books in the White Tower's library, his eyes caught a page. The regeneration of basic magic. It read. He found records of Windcutter's trajectory, noting how predictable it had been. But the writer suggested it could be supplemented with Wind Shield, a defensive magic with limitless applications. Oscar read the notes with growing fascination. The writer proposed it could even be used as an attack. He'd drawn a parallel to guns, suggesting that the White Tower's magic could reinterpret firearms, circulating bullets as a motive for advanced Wind Shield applications. The concept behind the advanced Wind Shield, Oscar noted aloud, is similar to how I'm using it, but it's entirely different from the idea of it being a simple defensive skill. There were other entries too, spells and theories the old Oscar Crushen had devised, though he hadn't been able to use them himself. He had simulated every theory, every spell, every experiment entirely within his mind. I understand now why he was called a genius, Oscar admitted. We're similar in the way we interpret theory. It was evident from this one book alone. The man hadn't abandoned magic. He had worked harder than anyone else, pouring his passion into a discipline that wouldn't accept him. Oscar could feel it. Every word screamed the man's love for magic. I hope this book, Oscar muttered to himself, blows even the weakest of winds toward the White Tower from a mage about to attempt their biggest challenge. A sobering thought settled in Oscar's chest. So he was aware. Oscar said quietly. He knew everything, but he had to do this alone. A young mage who never broke under his cruel fate, walking a lonely path. I swear, Oscar vowed, oh the name of Oscar Sage, the 17th master of the Magic Tower, I will undo the knot you couldn't untay, and I will make those who brutally broke your wings pay. Oscar blinked. He found himself walking through the greenhouse. Why am I walking around the greenhouse? He wondered. I remember falling asleep from exhaustion while studying how to undo the knot in the physical circuit. Suddenly, children's voices called out, Master, we are here. He turned and found his students gathered. Sit, Oscar said softly. Let's have today's lesson here. Ah, it was one of those dreams. The cursed dream cast by the demon realm's Viscount of Nightmares. A curse bound not to the body, but to the soul. Even after possessing this body, the curse clung to him. Still, Oscar considered himself lucky. These dreams, at least, hadn't been twisted. They were simple, bittersweet memories. He addressed his students. What did I say we were going to learn today? You said you were going to teach us about the magic system. They replied eagerly, and that the magic systems of mages and knights are largely divided into 4 categories. Oscar nodded. That's right. Magic may appear the same physically, but it's actually categorized into enhancement, acceleration, balance, or special types. Lloyd perked up. The White Tower pursues the harmonization type, right? Correct? Oscar confirmed. One magic suits it best. Shasha raised a hand. Does each magic tower have their preference of magic type? Yes. Different types of magic have different traits. The Golden Tower values speed, so they specialize in acceleration magic. The Red Tower believes fire magic represents enhancement. The Azure and White Towers both represent balance magic. I want acceleration type magic, Gilead Dominic said, frustrated. Slow things are so boring, Oscar chuckled. Unfortunately, you don't get to choose. You're born with it. Then how do we know what type we're born with? Asked Shasha. Who's simpler than you think. Shasha, extend your index finger and try to use this magic. I've never seen this spell before, so it might take me a while, she warned. There's no rush. After a moment, something flickered from her fingertip. It's not too fast, and it's not lethal, Oscar observed. Since it's balanced, you're a harmony type, Shasha. I like it. She grinned. Lloyd stepped forward. I'm the same as you, Master. Oscar smiled. Good. I want to try too, Gilead insisted. Just as you wished. You're an acceleration type. Yes. Gilead shouted in delight. Oscar then turned to Lloyd. You're a special type. Master. Lloyd asked hesitantly. Can I change my type once it's decided? Special types are rare, Oscar explained. Only about 0.2% of mages are born with it. Why would you want to change it? I like the balanced type better, the same as you. Oscar laughed softly. Really, what should I do with you? I was going to give you the most private lessons, you know. Wait, I'll have the most private lessons. Lloyd brightened. Special type mages find it tough to improve without a proper teacher. Come to think of it, Lloyd said. Considering, I don't think special type magic is that bad, as long as you promise I get the most lessons. I got it, Oscar promised with a chuckle. Back in reality, Oscar murmured, Lloyd, you rascal. His nickname was the Promise Man. No matter how mature he wanted to act, he was just a child. A voice echoed from the broadcasting room. This is an announcement from the broadcasting room. Oscar Crushin, Mage Oscar Crushin. Oscar groaned. How long was I asleep? Please head to Lab 4202. Additionally, while unlocking his physical circuits, Oscar had gained 2 mana circuit lines, and was now a level 2 mage. He knocked at the lab door. Come in, Elder Maxim called. How are you feeling? Oscar thought to himself. Who would have thought he'd be happy at becoming a level 2 mage again? According to Frant, your memories are returning, Maxim said. They are. I see. I'm glad. Elder Maxim had once been Oscar's junior, a diligent, honest man, someone Oscar had seen as a bright spark with a future. The boy who'd once called him senior, and later master. Why are you laughing? Maxim asked. I received a report that the Gordon family's boss and acting head were killed. Do you have anything to say about this report? No. Oscar replied evenly. But I'm sure there's an appropriate reason. He set down the poisoned elixir, the commission fee, and the assassin's ledger on the desk. They tried to assassinate me. The elixir was poisoned. These are the commission fees and ledger for my assassination. So you were bedridden because of this? Yes. I went to talk to them, but they tried to kill me. Maxim reviewed the evidence. There's money. It seems legitimate. The ledger contains contract details for the killing. I'd be grateful if you could close this incident as self-defense. I understand. Consider it done. Also, a personal favor. What is it? I'd like to meet the Magic Tower Master. Maxim sighed. That's not difficult. You often have discussions about magic with her. Oscar's mind ticked. Oscar Crushin discussed magic with Shasha. But you'll only be able to meet her 6 months later, at the soonest. What? But that's after the White Night Festival. She's away on a business trip, handling an important commission. Why is the Magic Tower Master doing something so minor? Maxim's voice lowered. Because the High Mage is absent. It's embarrassing. Oscar realized it. It must be something important if she's personally tending to it. Pardon my rudeness, but what level is the Magic Tower Master? She's a level 7 High Mage. I see. At her age, I was at level 9. With Shasha's talent, she should have reached at least level 8 by now. Maxim changed the subject. The report said the cross section of the corpse was very clean. Have you been practicing attack magic again? Well, I train when it comes to mind. I see. If that's all, you may leave. Shortly after, the Vice Master appeared. Magic Tower Vice Master. Maxim greeted. What brings you here? I came to tell you not to be so strict with that child. Hamel Glimwitz replied. But it seems I'm too late. He needs discipline if he gets involved in trouble. You're right, but I brought him here. I'm worried about him. Maxim sighed. Still, even though it's basic magic, it couldn't be perfected with merely a day or two. I'm sure he's studying in a hidden place. Maxim added quietly to himself, Oscar, that rascal, he might be studying much harder than we thought. I'm glad. Hamel smiled. Now, shall we go to the Elder's meeting? Elder Fidalina is already waiting. Yes. On the 10th floor, Oscar stood silently. I saw my students in my dream. I wanted to come here. It's emptier now. If it isn't the young Sir Oscar, a man greeted. Oscar turned. Who are you? I'm Whitler. I manage the Magic Tower's facilities. Oscar thought, just how far have these rumors about me losing my memories spread? Though, he asked, what did you mean by young Sir Oscar? I also worked here when the previous Magic Tower master was alive, the great Sir Oscar. Oscar chuckled. That's a good way to differentiate us. I'll use it from now on. Will you keep being my conversation buddy? I'm thankful for the offer, but that might be difficult. I'm leaving this tower soon. Where are you going? It's been 40 years since I started here. I've served 3 masters. Everyone else in this department is gone now. I stayed because of what Sir Oscar Sage said at his appointment ceremony. Everyone residing in the tower is needed, so live with pride. It might sound silly, but from that moment I believed I was part of this place. Oscar frowned. So you're quitting? As you know, young sir, the White Tower isn't doing well, especially in facilities, and next month marks my 40 years of service. Is it because of your long service award? Whitler nodded. I should receive 200,000 bells, enough to buy a house in a big city, but the tower can't afford it now. Many would need to risk their lives resolving commissions just to pay me. Oscar clenched his fists. I didn't realize it was this bad. Whitler noticed. Young sir, why are you clenching your fists? When are you leaving? In 2 weeks. Oscar bound a bandage on his palm. Go to the infirmary and get medicine for that. Also, you don't need to leave. Stay. I'll fix this. I'll make sure there's a way. I'll find a method to earn so much money that this never happens again. Oscar clenched his fist as he made a silent promise to himself. I'm going to make sure of it, he swore under his breath. But the moment he said it, reality hit him. How am I going to do it? The options that immediately came to mind were research, lectures, and commissions. But commissions took time for payment to process, and besides, right now he was only a level 2 mage. What he really needed was a business, something that could rake in a big profit, and fast. I guess potions are the only option. His thoughts were cut short as his eyes caught something unexpected in the records before him. Wait, this is... Elsewhere in the tower, tension simmered in the elders' meeting. Fidenlina's voice was sharp, filled with frustration. I can't just ignore it this time. It's embezzlement. Maxim sighed heavily. It's wrong. It's definitely wrong, but... But what? Fidenlina snapped. Well, Maxim hedged. The current is reflecting on it. Fidenlina's glare hardened. So you're just gonna let it go? Stealing is a habit that only gets worse. You won't have to worry about that. Maxim countered, voice flat. There isn't much to steal from our tower anyway. You're talking back at everything I say, she barked. Just throw the kid into isolation. No. Maxim protested. What's the point in putting a level 1 kid into isolation training? At the edge of the room, Hamel Glimwitz, the Vice Tower Master, pinched his brow. Is this really a conversation between 2 elders about to hit 100 years in age? He cleared his throat and spoke calmly. As Elder Maxim said, training in isolation would be too harsh. It would be nothing more than torture for the child. But Fidenlina tried again. Instead, Hamel proposed, let's have the child personally pay 3 times the research fees they used. Just 3. Fidenlina muttered, dissatisfied. Then let's move on to the next topic, Hamel declared, ending the matter. Fidenlina sighed and pressed on. We have so little money. I think we're gonna need to make a decision soon. There are so many facilities we don't even use. If we sell the equipment from the potion production chamber, we'll be able to live off that money for 3 months. Otherwise, we're really gonna have to shut down. I cannot permit that, Hamel said firmly. Fidenlina glared at him. Vice Tower Master. This is the Magic Tower, Hamel reminded them all. It's where mages come together to study magic and share knowledge. There is no fresh air in a closed room. We cannot sell out our future just to satiate the hunger of today. Fidenlina's voice cracked slightly. Do we even have a future? We've already waited 20 years. Fidenlina. Maxim scolded. She shook her head. Vice Tower Master, you need to accept it now. Even if there is a genius who might save our tower, they won't come to us. Hamel started, but the sound of the meeting room door cut him off. Who is it? We're in a meeting, Fidenlina snapped. Come in, Hamel allowed. Oscar Crushen stepped through the doorway. Hello, I'm Oscar Crushen. Hamel looked up. What is it, Oscar? I had a suggestion, Oscar announced. Please let me start a business. Fidenlina scoffed, eyes widening in disbelief. What? Wow, you're really funny. Don't you remember embezzling research fees just a few days ago? And what now? You want to start a business, a business. Oscar took a breath. I found an article while reading past newspapers. The Vince estate had to go on lockdown because of a terrible flu outbreak. I saw that too. Hamel replied, his tone turning grim. People are saying it might be the Cadena flu. It's terrible news if it really is. There is currently no cure for the Cadena flu, Oscar continued. In the past, the White Tower had to come up with a vaccine, so there was no issue, but the recipe for the vaccine was lost 20 years ago. Even the Azure Tower, which dominates the potion market now, hasn't managed to replicate it, Oscar pointed out. That's what I want to start with. Hamel's brow furrowed. What? I want to sell vaccines for the Cadena flu, Oscar said boldly. It's something the White Tower had a monopoly over in the past. I intend on reviving that monopoly. Fidenlina scoffed, not even bothering to hide her disdain. It's not even worth listening to you. The Magic Tower and all the pharmaceutical companies invested a ton of money and labor, but no one has been able to replicate the vaccine for the last 20 years but you. You think you can make it, a 20-year-old kid like you? Oscar nodded. They did all fail. And I'm a 20-year-old kid. However, I'm a genius. Fidenlina's jaw nearly dropped. Are you kidding me? She raged. You took 723,000 bells over the last 17 research fee payments. You even embezzled an extra 25,000 bells to get your hands on some illegal miracle medicine. Do you realize that an ordinary farmer's annual salary is $20 in after taxes? And what? You're a genius. Do you have no idea how money works because you're from a well-off? Elder Fidenlina. Hamel cut in sharply. Oscar is here to suggest an official investment opportunity as a mage of the White Tower. I know you're in charge of the finances, but you're being too rude. Fidenlina grit her teeth. I apologize. Oscar watched her coolly. I was wondering why she hates me so much. Makes sense now, she's the treasurer. I haven't done anything worthwhile for the last 2 years, after all. However, I'm certain about this. Please consider it, Oscar said, his voice steady. This body's owner and I are different. Is there a reason you're so certain that it's the Cadena flu? Hamel asked. Oscar gave a short nod. Yais, take a look at page 2 of the newspaper. Hamel opened it and read aloud. El Terra orders Archbishop Baldwin suddenly changed plans while on a pilgrimage. He's gonna stay in Siren for a month for prayers of blessing, Oscar pointed out. Isn't that strange? They've only stayed a month in big cities until now. Oscar explained further, the El Terra order worships the Mother of Earth, Terra. There are only 7 archbishops in the order. They're supposed to be incorruptible and dignified, but in reality they're far from it. In order to become a cardinal, the second highest position, you need a tremendous amount of campaign funds. You're allowed to stay in an estate you visit on your pilgrimage for up to a month. But that's only when you're meeting nobles and merchants and getting money from them. But Siren, it might have been a great city in the past, but it's been getting smaller and smaller. Maxim rubbed his chin. You're right, but I thought the reason was for prayers of blessing. That's why it's even more strange. Oscar continued. Prayers of blessing for a barren land. As you already know, the pilgrimage route for the El Terra Order's members has already been chosen for Themsaren, Mosque, Melbourne, and Greenwale. After that comes Vince. Oscar laid it out plainly. The Archbishop stayed in Knox for a month before coming to Saren. If I'm not wrong, he'll stay a month in Mosque too, and another month in both Melbourne and Greenwale. Doesn't it seem like he's trying to put off visiting Vince as long as possible? If an accident or unfortunate incident happens during the pilgrimage, the order would claim the goddess of earth is angry. That would be a death sentence for an archbishop aiming to be cardinal. Maxim's expression darkened. Then Archbishop Baldwin knew the flu going around in Vince was the Cadena flu and is stalling for time until it settles down. That's how I interpreted it, Oscar said. Well, Fidenlina grumbled. You're pretty good at analysis, as expected of a mage of theory. Although it's only a theory for now. I understand what you're saying, Hamel said thoughtfully. Oscar's eyes brightened. Then, however, Hamel raised a hand. We cannot officially sponsor you. What? Oscar blinked. We wouldn't be able to fund the other mages if we did, Hamel explained. But, Oscar started. However, Hamel added with a slight smile, I can invest my personal money into this business of yours. Fidenlina paled. Vice Tower Master. It's all right, Hamel reassured. It's only 30,000 bells though. Would that be enough? Oscar exhaled hard. 30,000 bells, that's not enough. That's nowhere near enough. Still, he thought to himself, well, I guess I'll have to go with plan B then. The equipment's all fine too. I'll make a vaccine sample with this money and get the rest from the Archbishop. He's the one in the most trouble because of the Cadena flu right now. Yeah, it's best to rip money off of someone desperate. Oscar flexed his hands. Now time to warm up. Frank, passing by, glanced at him and muttered, What's wrong with him? Oscar glanced at the steaming concoction before him, nodding with satisfaction. Now's the time, he muttered, pleased with the result. Not bad. They say that a true master maintains their class forever. Across from him, Frank panted heavily, sweat pouring down his face. Ha! Oscar eyed him, holding up a vial. I made this energy drink as practice. But it seems I was worried over nothing. Aye. Frank groaned, clutching his back. My back is going to break. Good work, Oscar said coolly. Did you get all the missing medicine herbs? Of course, Frank managed, fumbling to hand over a bundle. Take a look. By the way, do you have anything to drink? I feel like I'm about to pass out. Here's the receipt. Oscar gave a knowing smirk. I do have a fatigue recovery potion. Frank's eyes widened. What? Isn't that pricey? I want it. Without hesitation, Oscar tossed him the potion. I'm taking the receipt. Thanks. Frank eagerly gulped it down. It's nice and warm. Did you just brew this one? Yep. Just now, Oscar confirmed. The ingredients condition is excellent. I picked out the best ones, didn't I? The seller was actually mad at me because of that. Really? With those eyes of yours, you should be a merchant instead of a mage. Frank chuckled. I was thinking of doing that when our tower goes broke, Ux. He yelped as Oscar suddenly smacked him. What was that for? Sorry, Oscar shrugged. I couldn't help it. 'Cause you said something bad about the tower. Anyway, Frank sighed. What do I have to do now? Elder Fidenlina told me to help you. Said it'll be difficult to do by yourself. She was so mean to me up front. And yet, Oscar grumbled. All right then. Let's start with moving these ingredients. It's not like I needed an assistant though. Privately, Oscar mused over the White Tower's current state. It was filled with numerous problem children who, although exceptionally talented, had some screws loose one way or another. If only these kids could get their act together, they'd greatly contribute to the tower's strength. And one of those children, according to a very perceptive person, was Frank Sirius. That evaluation wasn't baseless, and Oscar had been curious about this kid, a perfect time to confirm it. As they sorted the herbs, Frank frowned. I realized it when I was purchasing them. But aren't they all poisonous? Black lilies of the valley, red camellias, ghost mushrooms, merva leaves. Just because they're poisonous doesn't mean we can't use them as medicine. Oscar explained. You know what to do with them before we use them, right? You put the poisonous herbs in the water and boil them for about 12 hours in order to detoxify them, Frank recited. Right, Oscar nodded. Except there's one problem with that method. The nutrients also go away in that process. Wait, what? Frank blinked. Oscar leaned forward. Do you know of a dish called dumplings from the Yan dynasty? Of course I do. I even tried some before. But why mention that out of nowhere? To make dumplings, they use a tool known as a steamer. If you use that tool to detoxify the herbs, we'll be able to keep most of the nutrients. With this method, we can extract 98% of the ingredients' effects. Frank's jaw dropped. Wait, seriously? Then monopolizing the potion market should be. Doing that should be possible. Oscar cut in, just like the White Tower did before. Wow, and that's the end of the detoxifying process. Nope, this just puts the ingredients in a softened state, which makes them easier to detoxify. The detoxifying process begins now. Oscar demonstrated. Hard drain. A misty vapor rose. With this, we just need to extract the toxins from this steam separately. Take a good look. Now, the rest of the steam shouldn't have any toxins in it, so we just need to mix them together with the right ratio. 23% red camellias, 47% Manhwa leaves here. This is the remedy for the Kadena flu. How was it? Easy to make, right? Frank stared. No, you try? Oscar prompted. Try that? Easier said than done. I can't even use different magics simultaneously yet. But I can't just tell him that I don't know how to dual cast. Darn it, start with the air drain spell, right? Oscar observed him closely. His mana control seems a little unstable, but it's not bad. He's doing better than expected. However, that's all. Frank grimaced. You're teasing me, aren't you? I can't dual cast yet. You have to be level 4 or 5 to understand the principle. I'm only level 3. Let me teach you? Oscar offered. You're gonna teach me the secret technique. It's easy if you know the principles, Oscar said. Try thinking of it as setting up partitions in your mind. On the left side of the partition, you use magic A, and on the right side, you use magic B. Try it. You have nothing to lose. Frank hesitated, then focused. Partitions. Huh. Congrats, you just learned how to dual cast. Oscar smirked. It was this easy. Then why did they hide this technique for so long? I thought it was going to be really hard. Because they're greedy. They didn't want to teach the technique that they put so much effort to learn to their juniors for free. 23% red camellias, 47% Manhwa leaves. And that has become a tradition, Oscar added. But in the blood-soaked battlefield, such a tradition is nothing but a hindrance. To survive, sharing techniques and discussions were needed every day. The White Tower now needs interactive teaching and the exchange of knowledge. Oh. Frank beamed. Oscar chuckled. And he did a good job speeding that first button up. Well done. You're pretty talented. Honestly, I didn't expect you to get it on your first try. Well, that's because you explained it to me so well. Heh. Oscar smirked. You looked pretty mad at me earlier, though. Still a lot more ingredients to go. I gotta get started on them. I have a bigger steamer, Oscar offered. So let's extract them all at once. All right. Frank cheered. Not long after, Frank groaned. I am gonna die. Oscar counted the bottles neatly. 514 bottles in total. But the mood shifted when Maxim rushed in. Oscar, we have a problem. Oh, what's the matter? A letter had arrived. The Azure Towers Pharmaceutical Company, New Tech, confirmed Saren's visit 1 hour ago. The presumed purpose is a meeting with Archbishop Baldwin. Maxim's face was grim. It seems we're a little late. Oscar frowned. So they haven't just been stalling for time without a plan. If they got the contract first, then our remedy would be rendered useless. Frank realized, paling. Cheer up, Maxim sighed. Sometimes there are just moments in life where we're unlucky. But Oscar wasn't about to give up. It's not over yet. If I remember correctly, the Kadena flu is classified as a B-ranked disaster. In that case, there is one thing that we could try. Is that true? Maxim asked, hope flickering. Yes. Elder, your flight speed is faster than most wagons. Right? Meanwhile, in the Archbishop's chamber, men announced, Archbishop, the guests you mentioned have arrived. Let them in. Baldwin instructed. Moira stepped inside gracefully. Ulcia. Thanks to your care, we have arrived here without trouble. Ulcia. Baldwin returned the greeting. Please, take a seat over here. Thank you, Archbishop. Moira replied. So how is the production of the remedy for the Kadena flu? Baldwin inquired. It's going very well. Moira assured. As expected from the Azure Tower and New Tech. When is it expected to be finished? We just have to go through the clinical trials, Moira explained. Neil added, with successful results, we should be able to get permission from the Empire's Food and Drug Administration. Ooh, Baldwin sounded impressed. However, Moira hesitated. As you already know, the clinical trials don't end in a day or two. Then when will you launch the sales of this medicine? I promise that we'll finish it within half a year. Half a year. Baldwin snapped. I have to leave for Vince in 4 months. But our schedule is. What is it? Baldwin barked as one of his men entered. Archbishop, another mage has visited you. Let them in. Baldwin ordered, arced. Tisk, why didn't you say there'd be one more person coming? Pardon. We don't have anyone else accompanying us. Moira looked puzzled. Then who is this person? Oscar stepped forward, adjusting his sleeves. Let's see. If I remember correctly, Ilcia was the greeting for the order. Greetings. I am Oscar Crushen, a level 2 mage of the White Tower. I'm here to make you a good offer. Baldwin raised a brow. The White Tower. What brings you here? I am here regarding the sale of the Cadena flu cure, Oscar announced. Well, what perfect timing, Baldwin remarked, gesturing to Moira and Neil beside him. These two are here for the same thing. Ah, Oscar said, feigning surprise. Am I too late? Not at all, Baldwin replied. They haven't fully prepared yet. That is relieving to hear. Oscar smiled thinly. We, the White Tower, are ready to negotiate right now if needed. Moira immediately snapped. That's a lie. Those of the White Tower have neither the money nor the technology to develop a cure. Baldwin considered this. A valid point indeed. He glanced back at Oscar. What is your last name, Oscar? Who does no. Crushen. Very well, Oscar Crushen. Do you really have the cure? Oscar gave a small, defiant smile. Who would dare to lie to an Archbishop of the El Terra Order? This is a sample. He placed the vial before them. Baldwin's eyes widened. My, if we do end up moving forward with negotiations, how many and until when can you produce these? Archbishop Baldwin. Moira interrupted desperately. What are you yelling at me for? Baldwin snapped. You were the ones who came unprepared. But we do not have permission from the Empire's Food and Drug Administration. Moira stammered, before seizing on a point. Right, oi, did you even get approval from the Empire's PETA? She challenged, glaring at Oscar. No. Oscar answered flatly. Moira scoffed. I expected as much, Archbishop. The White Tower's situation isn't any different from ours. We can mass-produce the treatment from factories all over the continent once we get approval. Also, please remember this is the White Tower we're talking about. Considering the Azure Tower's long history, I assure you the treatment we are developing with the best pharmaceutical company in existence will be far better. Oscar gave a quiet laugh. You make a fair point. However, it's amusing to hear you say the Azure Tower has a long history. His gaze sharpened. In front of one of the White Tower's mages, at that. What? Moira spat. You better take that back right now. Did I say something wrong? Oscar asked, feigning innocence. According to continental history, which magic tower was established first? You're really going to be petty over just a 5-year difference. Just a 5-year difference. Interesting. Oscar's tone cooled further. That 5-year difference you speak of, the gap that all Azure Tower masters wish to close, is a gap that will never close in 1,000, no, even 10,000 years. That's how history works. He let the words hang in the air. You must have forgotten the monopoly the White Tower had over the potion market just 20 years ago. That's in the past. No one remembers. Moira started, only for Oscar to cut her off. A past no one remembers. So that's how you think of it. A chill swept through the room. Moira stiffened. What was that sensation just now? She thought nervously. That aura wasn't something a level 2 could emit. I'll have to remind you then, Oscar said quietly. What? At that moment, a man burst into the room. Archbishop. I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's an urgent call. From whom? Baldwin demanded. It's from the Lord of Vince, Baldwin straightened, then spoke warmly into the communication crystal. Elsia, I thank you for your immeasurable kindness. Kindness. Came the voice of the Lord of Vince. Yes, for sending us the cure for the Cadena flu, Baldwin said smoothly. The White Tower's elder said that you prepared it with them in secret. The Lord explained. And that I should thank you. All the patients who took the shot have been cured in just a matter of a few hours. It's a miracle. This must be a blessing of the god. Baldwin laughed. Aha, that's good to hear. Are there any side effects? As of now, no. It's amazing. Could you perhaps tell me when the second batch will be available? I asked the White Tower's elder. That's up to the Archbishop. Maxim's voice was heard on the other end. And that's what he said. The Lord continued. This isn't to rush you, however. We'll be sending the second batch as soon as it's ready, Baldwin promised. It shouldn't take too long. Thank you so much, Elsea. Baldwin ended the call and turned to Oscar. Oscar Crushin, is this you're doing? Yes, Oscar confirmed calmly. It looks like it got there fine. Moyer's face twisted. Archbishop. This goes against Ada laws. He needs to be puny. Not at all. Oscar cut her off smoothly. You must not know much about laws. Do you know anything about the law regarding wars then? Don't change the topic. Why are you bringing that up? Moyer snapped. It must have been incredibly peaceful these past 20 years, Oscar mused. How have they gotten this? 2 years ago, the weapon that took the most lives of the people in the war against the demons was a pandemic. Even with mages quickly producing treatments, it took too long for the FEFTA to approve them. People died before approval came. His Majesty added a statement to Article 42, Clause 8, stating that treatments meant for the wounded in cases of war will be categorized as special treatments and will not be affected by the laws of the Empire's FTA. We're not at war right now, Moyer cried. There are 3 cases where a situation is considered a war, Oscar stated coldly. First, when there's war against another species or nation. Second, when there's a revolution. Lastly, when there's a disaster of above B class. He let that sink in. The Cadena flu is a B class natural disaster. Hence, no need to follow the FAFTA's laws. That's, Neil panicked. Archbishop, if the White Tower did it, we can do it as well. We'll send treatment to the Vince estate immediately, so... You don't understand the situation, it seems. Baldwin cut in, his voice icy. Pardon. The race was over the moment the White Tower's treatments reached Vince, Baldwin declared. Plus, the Lord of Vince thinks that I'm working with the White Tower. That's... I can't turn around and say it was actually the Azure Tower now, can I? I'll lower the price, so... Neil began, only for Baldwin to explode. Oh, dare you. Do you mean to buy my image with money? Not at all. I didn't mean... Enough. I don't want to hear anything else. Leave. I'll make you pay for this. Moyer hissed at Oscar as she was ushered out. Do these brats have a book of villain dialogues on hand, or something? Oscar thought dryly. It's the same as 20 years ago. Ah, right, Oscar added, as if remembering something. I already registered the patent for the treatment and vaccine to the palace. Ooh. What? Moyer stammered, horrified. If you want to sell the treatment you made, you better pay fees to the White Tower, Oscar warned. If you don't want to, I guess you better throw them out. Neil glared. I'll see you, Archbishop. Baldwin grunted dismissively. As Neil passed by, Oscar caught a curious detail. He had a unique scent on him. A refreshing and a clear mint smell. That's all I know, Baldwin chuckled. Alaha, have a seat over here. Finally, we'll be able to talk. Thank you, Oscar said, taking a seat. We better discuss the price first, Baldwin said. What will it be? The Azure Tower and Newtek wanted 2 million bells. Oscar shrugged. If they wanted 2, then I'll just take 5 million. Baldwin burst out laughing. Aha, are you serious? Meanwhile, back at the White Tower, Fadenlina shrieked. What is this? 10,000? 100,000? A million, 10 million. 10 million bells. Goodness, little brat. I knew you could do it. Hack, Oscar winced. I believed in you from the start, Maxim said proudly. This is surprising, Hamel admitted. What happened? Not even the Archbishop would give this much. There were additional fees, Oscar said. Additional fees? Hamel raised a brow. Advertisement fees? Oscar smirked. Advertisement fees? Hamel asked, raising a brow. Yes, Oscar replied calmly. He began to explain. The White Tower's official announcement should be that just as Archbishop Baldwin received a revelation foreseeing the breakout of the Cadena flu, we were able to quickly prepare the antidotes. For him, who is aiming for the next term's cardinal position, after receiving a revelation from Mother Earth, the Archbishop title must be even more seductive. He must have liked it because he paid 1 million bells for a contract, which is more than what we asked for, an Archbishop-like distribution. And in exchange, I said we'd send vaccines and antidotes within a week. Incredible, Hamel admitted. The disciplinary action asked for 3 times the amount of embezzlement, but you brought in 400 times that sum. He looked around. We'll end the disciplinary actions here. Any objections? Not at all. Fied and Lena chimed in without hesitation. Oscar, Hamel added, if you need support, let me know. 1 week will be tight. We need to gather mages, Oscar said. Level 4 or above, and as many as possible. I'll gather them, Hamel promised. I'll leave the sorting of volunteers to you. Elder Fied and Lena, please put out an announcement within the Magic Tower. What should I say? Fied and Lena asked. That the potion production lab is looking for mages that are level 4 or above. Hamel instructed. Those who partake will get paid and will be given a meat side dish at every meal. Overhearing, one boy whispered eagerly, they'll really give meat. Another added, there are even rumors it'll be pork and not chicken. A third's eyes sparkled. Drool, awesome. Frank, watching the gathering, commented, what a sight. To think this area would be so popular. Okay, seniors, listen up, Oscar called out, amplifying his voice with a sound binding spell. Oh, what is that? Someone grumbled. Everyone attention, please, Oscar announced. The reason we are gathered here is to make vaccines and antidotes for the Cadena flu. I need your help. It was him who gathered us. One of the mages murmured. Why is the genius bowing down to us? Another questioned. How is he gonna make medicine? Is this another scam? A skeptical voice asked. Turning to Frank, Oscar whispered, Frank, do they not like me? Do. Frank replied without hesitation. Why? Your personality is annoying and arrogant. You wasted the Magic Tower's resources but didn't do any research, and all you did was drink alcohol. Oscar blinked. He was that shitty. I think he still tried. Just then, a voice called out. Hello? Oscar crushing. It was Lena. Can I ask a few questions? The White Tower's production methods were all lost, so how will we make the medicine? I've recovered it, Oscar said. Really? One boy asked, still doubtful. Hey, think about all the money he's wasted. Another muttered. The effects of the antidote have been proven. Lena pressed.
Yes.
Oscar nodded. And the contract with the Order has been made as well. Lena considered this. Then its value must be worth a fortune. If the production method were leaked externally, meat side dishes would be a joke. Why do you trust us to share that precious information with us? I'll be honest, Oscar replied. I don't know why you all are still at the White Tower. Lena scowled. Is that the attitude of someone asking his seniors for a favor? I think I've wasted my time here. I don't know what intention the great genius has behind saying that, but there is not a single person here who should hear that. I know exactly what all of you gave up for the White Tower, Oscar said quietly. What? Lena frowned. Level 5 mage, Lena White. 25 years old. Because of your talent and judgment, 7 corporations, including Red Tower, have tried to scout you, but you rejected all of them. Level 5 mage, Harok Dryan. 26 years old. The Royal Palace, acknowledging your magic martial arts abilities, offered you the position of a royal mage, but you declined. How did you? Harok muttered, stunned. Level 5 mage, Descartes Rien. 26 years old. The Imperial Academy offered you an instructor position 4 times, but you refused. Oh my, Sophia Rose whispered in surprise. Level 4 mage Sophia Rose. 23 years old. Because of your creative alchemy abilities, the Golden Tower tried recruiting you, but you refused them. Oscar continued. Other than those I've named, everyone here has received similar offers. If an offer like this had come to me, I don't know. I don't know if I could have refused it, but none of you abandoned this place. The elders knew about all of the secret meetings. Lena asked in disbelief. Yes, Oscar confirmed, but they had no choice but to pretend they didn't because they didn't want to burden you all. The White Tower is currently undergoing the coldest winter we've faced. In that situation, even though all of you could have gone somewhere warmer, you all chose to stay here in this cold. If I don't trust people like that, who could I trust? But if you don't like it, there's no helping it. Frank muttered aside, those crocodile tears. Oscar looked to him. Who's too low, level mages will just struggle to work. You're not talking about me, are you? Frank asked, alarmed. Frank, hurry up. If we're doing it with just the two of us, we need to start now. Ahem. Lena cleared her throat. We just need to wear these goggles. Yes! Herrick nodded, picking up a pair. Why would you do it by yourself? What should I start with? Rose raised her voice. Back there. Don't just watch, get started. Frank gave a small laugh. Haha, to think Oscar would convince people with his words, am I dreaming? Oscar smiled. Dream like this isn't bad. I would like to say in advance that the meat isn't pork butt. Shit, it's chicken, someone groaned. There's no way it's rat meat, right? Another muttered nervously. Oscar smirked. Beef. A cheer erupted. Oh-hoo. The work began, and before long, the vaccines and antidotes were successfully created, reaching 140% of the original goal. Later, Oscar noticed flower petals in the air. Petals? Is that old man Walter? He must be back. I'm sure the Vice Tower Master found and dragged him back. I should say hi when I see him. Soon, the news was everywhere. The newspaper headline read, The Vince Territory announces end of pandemic 2 days after distributing the Cadena flu antidote. A signal flare demonstrating the beginning of the White Tower's revival. A small stone thrown into the potion market is making great waves. Oscar Crushen nominated as this year's Peace Award candidate. White Tower, this is all thanks to the goodness. National support for Archbishop Baldwin skyrockets. Things are going according to plan, Oscar murmured to himself. Frank came running. Oscar, it's awesome. The vaccine orders are pouring in. Have you seen this list? The Northern Territories, the Order, and even the Imperial family have made orders. Shit, a couple million bells with this is nothing. If you care about your life, then of course you need the vaccine, Oscar said. The urgent fires have been put out for now. But this rush will cool down right after a bit, right? Frank asked. You're smarter than you look. Oscar grinned. You know that this demand won't be maintained. Whoa, am I an idiot? Frank scoffed. Once the vaccinations are over, who would buy a vaccine? The next breakout would happen dozens of years later. You don't need to worry about money. I've prepared a potion that'll always be in demand. Frank's eyes widened. You didn't recover just one. You had a plan. Is it the star tears I've only heard rumors of? No. Oscar shook his head. The potions we're gonna sell are low and mid-ranked potions. It's not time for that potion yet. Star Tears, the most famous of the White Tower's recovery potions. It was a miraculous potion said to bring the dead back to life. It would create incredible echoes when it was released, but making it now would only cause hyena-like bastards to try and steal the production method. I'm safe this time because I used the Archbishop as a shield, Oscar thought. We need to increase the White Tower's power first. Great, now that you've mentioned it, go gather the materials for it. Hood. I shouldn't have mentioned it, Frank groaned. Lantus leaves, piston stems and all. Oscar began listing. There's more. Just those two alone will be hard to get. Frank muttered. What are you talking about? They're both Saren's specialty products. Siren's specialty products. Just how long ago was that true? Frank sighed. Gosh, it's been a while. The herb fields that grew those all went under. You're completely crazy. You really had to come all the way here because you didn't believe her. Huff, huff. Was there really a need to walk somewhere the carriage couldn't even reach? The carriage can't go in that deep. A man nearby informed them. Hold on for a bit longer, Oscar told Frank. We've come 10 miles, so we're almost there. Miles, Frank blinked. Why are you using a unit that disappeared 18 years ago? What? You don't use miles anymore. What's up with you since earlier? Distance units have been unified by meters ever since the war. Pounds were also switched to grams. Did you read too many old texts while recovering the medicine? Holy shit, they got rid of pounds too. Oscar sighed. Of course, pounds were more difficult to calculate with, but doing all those calculations was what made it fun. I enjoyed miles and pounds while they lasted. Oh, I see a hut over there. Frank pointed out. Is anyone in there? You walked all the way here, one man asked, surprised. Pardon? Yes, the carriage would only take us to the entrance, Frank replied. What's that? Oscar asked as someone called out. Hey owner, do you feel like selling your land today? Hey owner. Do you feel like selling your land today? Dever called out, his voice sharp and mocking. Who'sn't it time for you to stop being so stubborn? I said I'll give you 10 times what I'd give for other land. Frank, standing nearby, turned to Oscar. Oscar, what's going on? Not sure, Oscar murmured, watching the exchange. No way. Ivan, the old herbalist, snapped back at Dever. Not even if you said you were going to give me Misrilo Castle. Dever gave a snide grin. Owner, playing hard to get is only cute for the first few days. If you live like that and die, who recognize you? None of your business. Ivan replied curtly. I'm saying all this for you. Dever cooed mockingly. Hurry and sell it, and then enjoy the rest of your life comfortably. Once the factories come in around you, the value of this land will drop to rock bottom. Ho funny. Ivan replied coldly. As long as I'm here, permission for the construction of factories will never come. Teachy. Dever scoffed, turning on his heel. Let's go, guys. Yes, sir. His men caroused. Before leaving, Dever pretended to recall something. Ah, all right. I trampled on some herbs on the way. Let this be the price for that due, and with a cocky laugh, he left. Ivan exhaled quietly. Who? Watching them leave, Dever muttered to his men. The clothes of those guys next to that old man were robes from the White Tower, right? What are those beggar bastards doing there? Probably for herbs, right? One of the men guessed. I heard they made a lot of money from the recent vaccine. Money. How much did they make? Well, it's quite a lot. Read this, the man said, handing him a report. Dever's fury exploded. Why are you saying this now? What if that old man gets the White Tower to support him? Then he'll last another few years saying he won't sell it. That can't happen. It's slowly getting harder for me to pay the interest on the loans. Hey! Pardon? The man asked hesitantly. You have those mercenaries you contacted before, right? Let's commission them. Tonight. What kind of commission? What else? It's obvious. But he's a recognized. We can just kill him and have him marked as missing. Land without an owner will be auctioned, and we can buy it then. It'll be a little suspicious, but I have support backing me too. What if the White Tower's mages stay at the herb farm? If they interrupt, we'll kill them. But if the 4 main magic towers get involved, it'll be difficult to handle. And Ivan, that old man, what could happen? The phrase 4 main magic towers is an old one to begin with. The White Tower has already gone bust. Later that evening, inside Ivan's home, Frank spoke warmly. I think the herbalist old man is a good person. He let us stay and sleep because it's late and even fed us. Yeah, Oscar agreed. You said your names were Oscar and Frank. Ivan asked, his face kind. It's late, so you should sleep here. Going down now is dangerous. Is that okay? Frank asked. I have loyalty to the White Tower to maintain, Ivan said simply. Loyalty? Oscar's eyes narrowed slightly. Perhaps. But who was that earlier? Frank wondered aloud. We walked over, but he came by car. A crazy bastard named Dever Powell, Ivan said with a sigh. For his goals he'll abduct, threaten, and even murder. 3 years ago, he began to buy up all of the land in this area and obtained everything except my land. Countless herbalists have left Siren or went missing and didn't return. Pardo, why would he go so far? Frank asked, stunned. He wants to make this place the largest scale factory area on the continent. How did you hold out? Oscar asked. That bastard can't touch me. He's the one who's at a disadvantage. I'm the human cultural asset of herb cultivation. So since you received the protection of the imperial family, Frank realized. Yes, Ivan confirmed. I've been able to hold out because of that. If you'd sold your land, you could have obtained incredible wealth. Why didn't you? Oscar asked. You're asking something obvious. Pardon? Because I love this land. This place has been my home since the moment I was born, and it will be my home until my final moment. He's a good person, Oscar thought to himself. It was cute how he got embarrassed and rushed inside too. Frank chuckled. Oh yeah, the stars are bright here too. I'm jealous. What are you jealous of? Oscar asked. You know, I wonder what it feels like to live such a brightly shining life. I'm sure a genius like you can't relate to me, though. You're quite outstanding yourself. Thank you, even if they're empty words. They're not empty, Oscar said sincerely. I'm not the type of guy who's good at giving empty praise in the first place. Honestly, I don't understand why young Oscar said this guy was a problem child. The stars are pretty. Frank grinned. Before, we could see the stars in the middle of Siren. Due to the fact that it's bright at night now, because of the streetlights, we can't see them. The inconvenience back then was actually kind of romantic. Gosh, how long ago was that? You were born later than me. But about the Siren herb industry, can we really revive it? I don't think it's impossible. We'll need to talk through the details with Elder Ivan tomorrow. But, what the? Why are you acting all scary? Did you see a ghost? It's not a ghost but a person. 4 in total. What? I don't feel anything. A level that even Frank, who has a pretty good sense for mana, couldn't feel. They're not here for a good reason. Frank, get up. I think we have to prepare to greet our guests. Some distance away, in the shadows, a man called Max whispered. What happened? He definitely refused us when we offered to kill him before. Diver Pawal, that coward, said it'd be difficult to handle the aftermath. Who cares? If someone who gives us money orders it, we do it. A killer shrugged. Old man, we're still famous in the north. We've even got a bounty. Aren't you being too passive? Max asked. Enough with the chatter, Jack growled. Don't let your guards down. There might be a mage. From the White Tower. That's a relief. It would have been harder if it were one of the other magic towers. Another muttered. I hope they're here. I want to try fighting a mage, Max smirked. Leader, should I go in? It's quiet. Is the old man already asleep? This is boringly easy. No mages. What a shame. Oscar struck without hesitation. Uselessly quick-witted. Wind bullet, a spell young Oscar had once written as part of his reinterpretation of basic magic, was a simple yet devastating attack spell that mimicked the principles of a gun through the White Tower's wind magic. The spell landed, and the killer power was greater than Oscar expected. Only 3 left, he noted. Then, glancing again, only 2. What did you do to Max? Jack snarled. He's sleeping inside, Oscar replied coolly. So take him. But I think he'll sleep for a while. Probably eternally. Pathetic bastard. One killer scoffed. This is why I told him not to let his guard down. Just tell us the location of the herbalist, Jack demanded. Then we won't have any bad feelings about Max's death. Oscar narrowed his eyes. They're not falling for my provocation and are dodging unnecessary fights. They're pros. Let's just have those bad feelings. Well, if you want to see blood, Jack said coldly. Kill him. Oscar snapped his fingers. Snap. A killer grinned. Ah, impressive. And the fight began, and the killer lunged forward with a confident laugh. Ha! Oscar's expression didn't waver. Impressive, but you didn't know this was a unique weapon. The killer sneered, leveling his weapon at Oscar. How unfortunate. It's over now. Oscar scoffed, a trace of boredom in his voice. Yeah, it's more boring than I thought. The killer's grin faltered. No way. In this situation where I caught him off guard, he isn't flustered. Instead, he shoots in such a sophisticated manner. A unique weapon like that is nothing. It's not even that new. Oscar added coolly, unimpressed, to fall back after winning. "Who are you teasing?" the killer growled before collapsing. From nearby, Jack clicked his tongue. "What a shame. If you'd let your guard down a bit more, I could have killed you for sure." Oscar turned a sharp gaze toward him. "Wasn't he your colleague? More precisely, he was my subordinate, which I can easily replace." Jack replied with chilling indifference. Oscar grimaced. "This is why criminals are terrible. What kind of toy is that?" Jack lifted the weapon with a slight grin. He'd be sad to hear you call him a toy. Just know that he's expensive." Oscar narrowed his eyes. Acceleration, enhancement, penetration. The 3 spells imbued in that gun. Right? Jack's eyebrows lifted in mild surprise. "How did you know?" "It's because I couldn't block it." Jack let out a short laugh. "You're arrogant, but you have the talent to back it up. Do you want to work with me? The pay will be good." "Nope. Why not? I think the back of my head would feel itchy." "Keck, that's true?" Jack chuckled. "Then no further conversation is necessary." Oscar sighed, quietly assessing the situation as he crouched behind cover. What kind of state is this for the previous Magic Tower master to be in? He knew he couldn't keep dodging forever. Since my wind bullets are slower than those bullets, an all-out battle would be disadvantageous for me. I have half my mana left. The only opening that bastard has is the window of time where he's loading. After shooting 2 bullets, his attacks stop while he's reloading. Then after 1.4 seconds, he attacks again. From across the area, Jack called out with a mocking tone. "Where did the rat go?" Oscar clenched his fists. "He has 1 bullet left. Then if I finish things within 1.24 seconds, accelerate." Jack spotted him moving. "Over there? You're quick. But a human can't beat this trinity. It's over." The shot fired. Jack's eyes widened. "How? You can't dodge this bullet with an acceleration spell alone." No, he didn't dodge. Perhaps the shield. How? Can a low-rank mage? Oscar let out a breath. "Would you understand even if you were told how?" "Who?" Glancing at the weapon, Oscar murmured. "Anyway, he used an annoying weapon earlier, Trinity. Acceleration, enhancement, penetration. He's calling them the Trinity. It had been a formidable tool. His weapon is amazing. It was quite difficult for me to deal with, after all. Since I used friction reduction and internal durability enhancement on windshield, the exterior was flexible and the interior was sturdy. That's why the bullet couldn't penetrate the barrier and slipped on it. If that didn't work, it'd be me on the floor." Oscar stood still for a moment, mentally noting, "When I return to the White Tower, I should research how to use magic to respond to modern weapons. I can feel my limits now that I've used magic several times within this incomplete body." But he quickly refocused. "Of course, I need to safely save Frank and Ivan before that. There were 4 people I sensed in the beginning, and since I've dealt with 3 of them. Just don't get caught. Frank, hold out for a bit longer." Meanwhile, across the property, a killer stepped out from the shadows, grinning. "Hi." Frank tensed but spoke calmly to Ivan. "Holder, go ahead." "What about you?" Ivan asked, his brow furrowed. "I'm fine. I'm quite strong, and I can't fight properly if you're here. I'll catch up to you soon." Ivan hesitated, then nodded. "Okay, then be careful." As Ivan disappeared into the night, the killer taunted, "Your white lies are touching. Did you enjoy your farewell?" Frank met his gaze. "Why aren't you chasing him? Did you come here for me? Who are you? Did you send the old man away thinking I'd chase after him, so you could survive by yourself?" The killer scoffed. "The old man is my goal, but I've always been curious. Just what's so special about you that everyone is so scared of the mages from the 4 main magic towers? So, I want to kill you first." Frank didn't hesitate. "One cutter." The killer dodged easily, laughing. "Wow, this is too easy. Do something more fun." "Kaya." This is what the 4 main magic towers amount to. But then the killer's expression twisted. "Wah, wait, swoop. The feeling of a sword piercing a heart shouldn't be this light. Something strange." "Kick, Kyok." Frank gazed down at him, voice low and apologetic. "I'm sorry. I have a bit of a unique constitution." And with that, the 4th threat fell. He made a face. "Ikes." Oscar arrived right then, glancing down. I almost stepped on him. He considered Frank for a moment. Frank is a special mage, the god of wind, at that. To think Frank would have the magic that could turn part of his body into wind. Since physical attacks don't work on him, it's kind of an overpowered skill you can't face unless you use magic or sword key. Even I, a magic tower master, only ever saw mention of this rare magic in old books. And those records were about the 7th magic tower master, a special mage who claimed it was his innate magic. I never imagined Frank would receive the god of wind's power. Frank, Oscar called softly. Frank jumped. Wha? You scared me. When'd you get here? Just now. I was worried, good job. Frank straightened a little. Ham. Tell me more quick. Oscar chuckled. Gosh, where'd you leave Ivan to be so triumphant already? Oh, yeah, the old man. Frank turned, cupping his hands around his mouth. Ivan, where are you? Come back. Oscar watched him fondly. This guy, if I just train him right, he has the potential to be as powerful as dozens of high mages. He sensed a faint presence nearby. I can feel his energy over there. Let's go. Oh. They found Ivan sitting against a tree, breathing heavily. Thank you, the old man said. Thanks seriously. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have seen the next morning's sun. Frank gave a sheepish grin. Gosh, what did I do? It was all this guy. No. Oscar shook his head. I missed one of the swordsmen. Without you, there would have been trouble. Hua. There would have been trouble without you. A mercenary acumen lacus vel facilicis. Ho. Oh. A highway. It's all over now, right? Ivan's expression hardened. Not exactly. He's not a bastard who'll give up with just this. If assassination doesn't work, he'll find another method. Tawal, why's he so obsessed with this land? Frank asked. Ivan sighed. This is the best land in Saren, the biggest, and in the perfect location. The fertility of Saren's land has greatly declined over the last 8 years. That was the result of the western region's magic engineering factories dumping wastewater and pollutants into the Balf River every day. If he starts building factories even closer to here, a day will come where holding out becomes pointless. If Siren's lands can never recover, I won't even have the energy to grow herbs. Oscar glanced at the old man. Older, I have something to ask. Ivan blinked. Is the loyalty you must keep to the White Tower, the one you mentioned yesterday, related to your promise with the 4th Magic Tower Master, Reynold Ias? You knew about that. Frank frowned, confused. What is it? Oscar explained. It's the story of herbalists in the past. Long ago, people thought of herbalists very differently. He could still picture the old scenes vividly. Catch them. Where did he go? People would shout. Herbalists, often called witches, boiled unknown herbs in pots and sold their concoctions. They avoided attention, lived quietly, without a place of their own. Then a savior appeared, Oscar said. Famous for his insight, the White Tower's 4th Tower Master, Reynold Ias. He repeated the words spoken long ago. Come to Siren. That place will become the eternal home for you and your descendants, and you will not be looked down upon there. Ivan exhaled, visibly moved. To think he said something so touching. This is my first time hearing his exact words. I read it in a storybook, Oscar admitted. Well, an old book only given to tower masters. Ivan continued the tale. After that, herbalists from across the continent gathered in Saren. It was the first time these nomads had a cozy home. Frank nodded slowly. So the White Tower. The White Tower gifted my ancestors a home and pride, Ivan said firmly. How could we abandon them? Thank you for your hard work all this time, Oscar said. The White Tower will be with you from now onwards. Immediate response. Ivan asked. Is there some method? If the imperial family finds out they attacked a human cultural asset, they'll act immediately. Oscar quipped, give me back my feeling of touchedness. Ivan shook his head. I don't know if the imperial family will have time. I can't leave this land. The imperial family's precise with their work, but as a result, they're also slow. And if Dever launches a full-scale attack before then, you don't need to worry. Oscar reassured him. The imperial family will move faster than light. How? Oscar smiled. Because today's the day I'm signing the contract for the Cadena flu treatment with the imperial family. Elsewhere, Dever was seething. Hurry up. Why'd you mess up the job so bad you'll make me go bankrupt? After we run, you're done for. Don't move. Dever turned, startled. What the? A stern officer stepped forward. I'm the senior superintendent of the Imperial Ministry of Home Affairs Bureau of National Security. Why is the senior superintendent here? The man's tone was ice. So you're Dever Pawwal. I'm arresting you on charges of attempted murder, blackmail, illegal property acquisition, and damage to a human cultural property. Dever blanched. What? You've got the wrong person. I'm a decent businessman. We'll be the judge of that. Shut your mouth. Arrest him. Yes, sir. Dever tried one last desperate plea. Damn, this isn't something I can handle alone. If I can just contact that person, I'll find a way to escape. Even if I go, you'll at least give me time to smoke a cigar, won't you? Put him in handcuffs and drag him away. Hey, you're making a mistake. Do you know who's behind me? I don't know. The officer shrugged. But the one behind me is the Emperor himself. Is your backer more important than His Majesty? Ooh. Give me the cigar? The officer took a drag. Criminal bastards sure have good taste. One of the subordinates stammered. It's not me. I didn't do anything. Another man, Dolan, approached. Senior Superintendent, I have a question. What is it? Just who is that guy, for us to move in a single day? This is a first. It's an order from above. From above. Yes. Our Emperor really loves the White Tower. You see? Pardon. What does that mean? It's a situation between adults. I don't know why he loves them so much. It's true that in the past, they made heroic achievements. But that was 20 years ago. Even if you release a bird with broken wings from a higher place, the only thing that changes is the speed at which it falls. Objectively, the White Tower doesn't have the ability or right to receive this treatment now. The officer's voice softened. But, Dolan, how old are you? 23. 20 years ago, you were 3. I was 12 back then, too. The time when humanity received true freedom after victory in the war against the demons. Just what kind of existence was the White Tower then? The higher-ups still remember them from those days and can't let go of their expectations. He turned on his heel. Let's go. We have one more place to stop by. Pardon. I thought we were done for today. Unfortunately not. What's our destination? You guys deal with the aftermath and go home. We're heading west. We're going to issue an order to the factories near the Balf River to stop them from illegally dumping pollutants. Although, this is something I added to the schedule. Even if I don't know about the White Tower, Oscar Crushin, Frank Sirius, I'll repay you for dealing with the Jack Gang with this. Can't we buy some food on the way? No. Oh yeah. Back in Siren, Frank stretched. Aye, it's over? Oscar gave him a grin. Good work. Frank turned. What will you do now? Want to get some drinks? I'm on my way to report to the Vice Tower Master. Want to come with? Huh. A voice called out. Oscar. Frank. Oh, I have something planned, so bye. Frank bolted. Hamel blinked. I thought I saw Frank. Was I mistaken? You're right, but he left like he had something urgent to do? I guess it was urgent. Oscar smirked. No, that was a joke. Hamel shook his head. Anyway, Oscar, you've resolved something huge again this time. I just sent you to get some air. I'll give the report in your room. Good. Let's go. Then Hamel paused. Is something wrong? He's dressed strangely. Did you hear something from Frank's? There is. Nothing in particular. Is something wrong? I received a message from the Sirius family saying they'd take Frank's. Oscar's steps slowed. He's leaving the White Tower. Did he agree? I'm not sure. They said they've finished talks with him, but I don't know the details. There was a knock at the door. Is that you, Grace? Come in. Frank called out without looking. Oscar pushed the door open and stepped inside. Who is Grace, youngest son of the greatest trading company in the Empire, Frank Sirius? Frank's face paled as he turned around. Oh, it's Oscar. You bastard. You heard everything. Oscar didn't waste time. You're leaving the White Tower. Frank let out a sigh. Sorry I couldn't tell you in advance. It was hard to say while sober. That's why I asked to drink. He paused, lowering his gaze. I need to go back to my position, help out with the company work, and get married. Oscar blinked. Married? When did you start dating? Frank forced a grin. She's apparently a good person. She's from a good family. So, that'll help our family. Just say it's a strategic marriage, Oscar muttered. Are you okay with that? She's pretty nice, and has a good family. Why wouldn't I be okay with that? Not the marriage. Oscar narrowed his eyes. Giving up on magic, yay. Frank hesitated. Well, what can I do? My talent only amounts to this much. Honestly, I thought I was quite special. I figured if I went to even the weakest of the magic towers, I would at least become the head of the snake. Sorry to say this to you, who loves the White Tower, but after coming here, I realized that wasn't the case. I just didn't know reality. I can't even earn my keep here. And I understand my family's perspective, wanting me back at the company. Frank's serious. Frank flinched. Why are you calling me so scarily? Is it because I said the White Tower is weak? Oscar's gaze was firm. You're talented. Thanks, Frank said, trying to play it off with a chuckle. You get to hear that from a genius now that I'm leaving. I'm serious, Oscar said, leaning in slightly. Want to try being the head of the snake? Before Frank could answer, a voice called from outside. France. Frank turned sharply. Brother. A tall man entered the room, eyeing Oscar briefly. Frank's colleague. Frank, I'll give you 5 minutes, so hurry and come down. I'll be waiting, the man said curtly. Okay, Frank nodded. The man turned to Oscar. Then continue with your goodbyes. Oscar took a breath. How much? For Frank's to stay, Oscar clarified. The man scowled. Who are you to ask that? I'm Oscar Crushin, his friend. Recognition flickered in the man's eyes. Ah, the mage who made the medicine. He gave a stiff nod. Grank Sirius. That fool's older brother. Oscar didn't waste time. Grank Sirius? I offer you a deal. Frank gasped. Oscar. Grank let out a humorless chuckle. How impudent. I heard you were a genius. Is that why? How dare a child request a deal with the Sirius family? It won't be a deal with losses for either of us. I will make Frank into a top mage of the White Tower within 2 years. Frank gaped. What? Me. Long term. This will be a big benefit for the family, Oscar pressed. Grank studied him. A top mage of one of the 4 main magic towers within 2 years. What's the penalty for failing? I'll hand over the next 50 years worth of profit from selling the Cadena flu vaccine and medicine to the Sirius trading family. Frank's face turned white. Hey, are you crazy? Grank narrowed his eyes. Do you have the authority to do that? Frank tried to interject. Stop talking without me. I'll have the Vice Tower Master as the notary, Oscar said smoothly. Grank crossed his arms. Was the reason you're going this far for this guy because he's worthy, or out of simple friendship? Oscar didn't hesitate. Obviously, it's because he's worthy. I plan to return the White Tower's reputation to what it was at its prime within 5 years, at the least. The medicine and vaccine are simply the gunshot to notify everyone of the start. To do that, I need Frank Sirius. His voice was unwavering. Who's someone I need in the new White Tower I have in mind? Grank chuckled darkly. You're young, but as a merchant, there's no reason for me to miss out on the opponent's naivety. Instead, I'll add a condition. Oscar kept his composure. I think my offer is good enough. I think so too, Grank admitted, but there's one thing you've forgotten. Human merchants value trust over money. I don't do deals with just anyone, so prove yourself. I have a level 5 knight as my guard. At noon tomorrow, fight with him and prove your abilities, after which I'll accept your deal. Oscar's brows rose. You're saying that when you know I'm a level 2 mage. Oh. Grank grinned. Then I'll add the condition that he can't use sword QE. Oscar mentally sighed. He's basically saying he won't give Frank up. I guess the family he has the strategic marriage with is no ordinary family. Grank gave a final nod. Then, goodbye. See you at noon. If you don't come, I'll take it that you've given up. As Grank left, Oscar muttered under his breath. Even I would struggle in a fight against a level 5 Frank grabbed his shoulder. What are you gonna do? He might cancel it if you speak now. I'll go with you. Wait, this guy. Frank frowned. Grank is saying that because he wants you to get beat up, because he's mad. If you're embarrassed about asking, I'll go with you. I think it's doable. Frank's jaw dropped. What? A level 2 against a level 5 knight, or a level 4 mage could handle it, right? Frank blinked. Are you planning to reach level 4 in one day? Oscar smiled. Arvin, for me, that's impossible. Instead, it is possible to make a mage who's plateaued at the cusp of level 3 into a level 4 one. Ha! Your brother didn't say I had to win the fight myself. He just said I had to prove my abilities. Then I can just show them. Frank's serious. Ha ha! I'll make you into a level 4 mage, so fight for me. Frank hesitated, his gaze unsteady. I don't know if we can do this in one day. I haven't been able to do it over the past few years. It's possible. Just trust me, Holy. Of course I trust you. Oscar nodded. Then stand with your natural body posture, close your eyes, and circulate the mana all throughout your body. Frank obeyed, and Oscar's hands moved lightly. That's good. Here, and here, and here. Those are the areas where there's loss when you circulate your mana. Since there are areas like this, the level of completion of your magic drops. Frank grumbled. Can geniuses all see that? No, just me. Whew, so annoying, so I can level up if I just fix that. You think, this is unrelated to your level. 99.9% of mages wouldn't even care about it. Then why? But the 0.1% called the archmages all cared about this. From now on, practice what I tell you every morning. Oscar pointed as he spoke. The circuits I pointed out have a long curve. The speed the mana enters is too fast, so every time it bumps into the walls, a lot of mana is lost before it enters. Be more mindful of the speed. This area is too slow, so it needs to be quicker. Push the mana. He gestured to another spot. This circuit has 6 entry points, so the mana needs to be divided into 6. That's how the loss will be minimized, and the output maximized. Frank groaned. I need to focus on all that every time I use magic. That's so much. The more you do it, the more natural it'll be, until it's like breathing. Okay. Then that's all I need to do. No, show that to me now. The magic you used in the fight at the herb field. You saw. Yeah. Sorry, I can't. I thought you said you trusted me. No, this isn't because I don't trust you. I'm just scared. Scared. Frank lowered his gaze. I almost died using that magic before. I got more anxious as I grew up, since it was obvious my family would mock me if I produced no results as a mage. So, while thinking of what I could do that no one else could replicate, I wondered, if it weren't just a part of my body, but my entire body that could turn into wind, wouldn't that be incredibly strong? I had a reckless thought. At first, I thought I had succeeded. I did, but then I can't stop it. But it was a complete failure. After half my body turned to wind, my mana became uncontrollable. He trembled slightly. Save me, is anyone there? He remembered a voice cutting through the storm. Frank. If it weren't for the Tower Master passing by at that time, I would have died that day, or more accurately, ceased to exist. Back then, there was nothing I could do by myself. The feeling that my soul was being shattered into hundreds of thousands of pieces, fading. I never want to feel that again. Oscar met his gaze. But you used it well on that hill. In dangerous situations, it automatically activates. Isn't that pathetic? No, not at all. Don't think of yourself as pathetic. Many mages face problems like this. What? Really? For real. Which is why the solution is simple. In your case, the issue was your ability to control your mana. You just need to supplement that area. Hey, that's easy to say. Mana control's totally up to talent, so how can I supplement that? Normally, that would be the case. But there's a way to forcefully increase that ability. Frank watched him suspiciously. What are you doing? Drawing a summoning circle. For what? You're not gonna make a contract with a demon, are you? Oscar snorted. Are you crazy? Demons wouldn't even show up if I called. Then what are you summoning? A spirit. I'm summoning a wind spirit to transplant into your body. Frank stood in the center of the room, taking a deep breath as he raised his hand and recited solemnly, Wind spirit, incarnate of purity that sends the world's evil and darkness flying. I, Frank Sirius, a human who searches for truth, am requesting to accompany you. So according to the pacts from the beginning of time, please reveal yourself in front of me. A pause followed. Nothing happened. It's not working. Frank blinked. Oscar, arms crossed, looked unimpressed. Your affinity with spirits is shit. Frank flinched, hopeful. I thought I felt some wind just now. No. That was a sigh. Gosh. Frank groaned in frustration. Don't get disappointed. Oscar told him, more gently this time. Only a very small number of humans have spirit affinity, after all. So am I screwed from the beginning. If I can't even call a spirit, how can I control my mana? It's fine, Oscar reassured. There's another method. He moved to the center, remembering. It's a spirit summoning ceremony I learned when I went to visit the kingdom of the elves in my past life. I'm not going to make a contract. An elf had once told him it was fine to try. They told me to try it, so for fun, I did, and succeeded. There's no way something that worked once wouldn't work again. Of course, he added with a grin. They did say I was the first human summoner in 18 years. Frank tilted his head. Now what? Recite the summoning chant again. Move. I'll try. Oscar stepped forward. Anyway, the Spirit King will remember me. He drew a long breath, closing his eyes. His mind drifted back to a distant memory. Back then it wasn't a desolate training room like this, but the front of the huge world tree. Spirit of wind. He called out, voice clear, come to me. In an instant, the room shifted. Frank's hair whipped around. What the? You succeeded in one go. Off the wind? A voice echoed through the swirling air. Oho, human, is that you? Are you the one who called me? This is the first time in 27 years that you've called for me. Oscar opened his eyes and gave a lopsided smile. It was me 27 years ago too. I want to make a contract. Is there something you need? A written contract or anything? Something as formal as that isn't necessary. Something as formal as that isn't necessary. Oscar repeated with a chuckle. The spirit's voice was amused. Human, will you make a connection of friendship with the highest-ranking spirit, Celestin? Oscar quickly waved a hand. No, I should have started with this. I don't need a spirit. I called you because he needs one. Meanwhile, at the White Tower, Frank Sirius greeted Hamel as the Vice Tower Master entered. Did you sleep well, Vice Tower Master? Same as always. Hamel replied dryly. Grank didn't waste time. The fact that you're here must mean that you agree with the contents of the deal, right? Yes. I had a lot of concerns, but I decided to agree. The inventor of the cure is too stubborn. I see? Grank smiled faintly. Then I'll gladly take it. This is my knight who will be fighting today. The knight stepped forward. I am level 5 knight Leslie Morgan. Oscar stood calmly, his robe sleeves swaying. I am level 2 mage, Oscar Crushin. Grank began to explain. Then I'll explain the contents of the duel. It's a simple method where whoever takes the necklace of the opponent first wins. If 5 minutes pass with no victor, we'll take it as our loss. Oscar smirked. That's pretty good. Then, let's get started. If you want to suspend the duel, you can raise your hand. Grank added, eyeing Oscar's odd outfit. Will you be okay in that outfit though? It looks very uncomfortable. Oscar's sleeves and hood flapped dramatically. It's fine. Grank arched a brow. I'm not the one fighting anyway. Frank. Grank's eyes widened as Frank stepped up. Oscar Crushin, what is the meaning of this? You asked me to prove my ability, not for me to fight personally. Oscar shrugged. I taught him this and that yesterday. Grank's mouth tightened. Yais. It's my mistake for not putting in the condition that you have to fight personally. If you're expecting that we'll go easy on you because you sent out Frank, that's not it. I just thought that a level 4 mage had a better chance than a level 2 one. Grank scoffed. Level 4, that guy. He was a level 3 until yesterday, so how? In order to make Frank into a top mage in 2 years, I need to show this much ability, don't you think? Grank turned to his knight. Leslie, don't go easy on him. I understand, Leslie replied, drawing his weapon. Oscar turned to Frank. Hoot's fine. Don't get scared. Ouch. Frank winced. If you do what I said yesterday, you'll definitely win. Okay, Frank braced himself. I'll be back. As Lazley stepped onto the field, he greeted Frank with a faint smirk. It's been a while, young master. Yeah, Sir Lazley, begin, Grank announced. Frank bolted back. It's begun. Procure a distance of 20 meters. Perfect, but the pressure, even without sword key, and at this distance, Lazley radiated overwhelming presence. His pressure. Without sword key and at this distance, he has that much pressure. This is the class of a level 5U. Fear gripped him. If I say I can't do it now. Then Oscar's voice came back to him in memory. To do that I need Frank Sirius. He's someone I need in the new White Tower I have in mind. I missed one of the swordsmen. Without you, there would have been trouble. Frank steeled himself. One blade. For the first time in his life, someone had told him he was needed. He couldn't let that expectation down. Lazley noted the improvement immediately. He's gotten better, he's dual casting, and he even dispersed my momentum. Is this what it'd be like to actually face the sword control technique they used in the Eastern nation? But enough observing, he's quick. Frank panicked. To block this. Windblade. Grank's expression tightened. How did he grow so much in just half a day? Did you use a forbidden method to overdo it? Oscar calmly responded. You don't need to worry. I used a safe and sound method. As if I'm worried. Grank muttered, but in truth, both of them could see it. Frank had truly grown a lot. But even so, that's all. Frank doesn't suit a battle mage style. Since he's weaker than others, his growth will hurt him. Perhaps, there might come a moment where getting hurt will be a relief. It's more suited for you to stay at the corporation. Then you won't get hurt anywhere or make your family worry. You'll never get eaten by your own magic again. Grank was about to announce the end. It's over. Oscar interrupted. Grank frowned. Why is he smiling? Oscar's grin widened. The spirit transplant was successful, although it's a shame that it's a low-level spirit. How's the god of wind? It comes out well now that we've trained, right? Frank wiped blood from his lip, grinning back. Thanks. After someone beat me up, it came out naturally. But you won't be at the level to windify your body freely yet. You haven't completely gotten over your trauma after all. Then is there no way for me to win tomorrow? No, it's possible if you use God of Wind 100%. 100%. Oscar leaned closer. Frank, do you think turning your body into wind is all there is to God of Wind? Is there something else? There's still the most interesting part of God of Wind. This is the real overpowered part. Unitization. Unitization. The ability to turn anything that touches your body, whether it's an item or clothes, into wind. Frank blinked. The picture is weird. Oscar grinned. This is the most absurd part of God of Wind. It's important to hide your cards until the very end in a battle. If you win in a battle of cards, it's even more exciting. Grank and Lazley, watching from a distance, exchanged glances. No way. Morgan couldn't believe what she was seeing. No way, she muttered in shock. Frank grinned as he held his hand up. Got it. Grank stared in disbelief. God of Wind. No way. Even the magic healer said he wouldn't be able to use it again. From the sidelines, Hamel laughed. Aha, the match has come to a conclusion. Do you agree with the results? Oscar gave a simple nod. Good job. Grank, still processing everything, spoke again. He said he taught him for one day. I acknowledge my loss. Hamel, courteous despite the defeat, addressed Grank. You suffered coming all this way, so it's a shame that you're leaving so quickly. Grank shook his head. No, please take care of my younger brother moving forward. You've grown a bit. Frank, surprised, blinked. Pardon? Grank turned away. Forget it. Oscar chuckled quietly. Funny guy, pretending to not have heard. The next day, Frank stood before a large, foreboding door. This is the entrance, he asked nervously. Oscar confirmed. Yup. Frank looked around in disbelief. How does this look like the training room entrance to you? This is obviously the basement prison. Oscar shrugged. It was used as that hundreds of years ago, so you're not completely wrong. Frank folded his arms and huffed. Above all, I didn't do anything wrong, so why should I go into isolation training? Oscar grinned, speaking lightly. The Vice Tower Master ordered it himself. That means he has especially big expectations for you. Frank wasn't convinced. If he has big expectations, why is it isolated training? I only got to rest for one day. Think of it positively, Oscar reasoned. You need time to adjust to the spirit anyway, and you need to organize what you've learned through level 4. Well, that's true, but, Frank mumbled, don't be a baby. You won't die, Oscar teased. Frank eyed him warily. Really? Yeah, bye. Sorry. Oscar turned away, then admitted under his breath, to be honest, I was actually the one who requested it. The night after the duel, Hamel had voiced his doubts. You want to put Frank into 30 days of isolation training. He still won the duel, this soon. Oscar, calm and firm, answered, yes, Frank needs this. Hamel sighed. We'll have to be nice to him in 1 month. Thank you, Oscar said sincerely. Changing the subject, Hamel brightened. Oh yeah, there's good news. The Sirius Trading Company said to use their distribution network freely from now on. Free of charge, at that. Oscar raised an eyebrow. They'll provide that for free. He must be done calculating, quick as expected of a trading company. The amount of gains the Sirius Trading Company would obtain if the White Tower revives itself and Frank becomes a top mage is endless. Their intentions are clear, but I don't feel bad about it. That's good news for sure. And as for the second part, Hamel continued, I have something to ask you. Do you want to take on a lecture? Oscar tilted his head. A lecture? It's not that I can't, but shouldn't he be wanting me to focus on the potions department around now? Perhaps, is there a reason the White Tower mages need to get stronger in a short period of time? You sure catch on quick, Hamel said approvingly. Have you heard of Mage Night? Oscar's expression darkened. Yes, I have. Mage Night, a day where all mages from each magic tower gather in one place. It was created to show their growth in abilities and harmony. The Emperor wanted that day to become a bond, creating day between magic towers. But of course, that never happened. They just fought each time they met. Oscar frowned. It should have gotten cancelled after a few years, but why are you mentioning it now? His Majesty the Emperor is trying to revive Mage Night. Correct. Hamel confirmed. It hasn't been revealed to the public yet, though the Imperial family will announce the details once the new year arrives. I hope this is simply an old man's bad feeling, but I am wary of the Black Tower. The Black Tower. Oscar repeated. As long as the Black Tower continues to aim to be one of the 4 main magic towers, there's a high possibility that the White Tower will be attacked. Everyone's doing great right now, but I'm still a little uneasy. Hamel admitted. Oscar's eyes narrowed. I'll do it. Hamel looked closely at him. Oscar, why does it seem like your face has changed? The Black Tower is trying to come up. How arrogant. Over my dead body would the White Tower get pushed. Oscar muttered darkly to himself. It's a relief I at least pulled Frant to level 4. The low-level spirit ceremony was a stroke of genius. I'm so thankful. To think a demigod would remember a mere human who couldn't even keep his promise. Back during the spirit ceremony, the spirit had shouted in protest. No, who summons a spirit to make a spirit contract for someone else? Oscar tried to pacify it. Calm down. How could I calm down? The spirit roared. Oscar gritted his teeth. Org. Celefran of silence. Let her know that the white mage is back. The spirit froze. For you to dare to say the Spirit King's name, just who are you? For a mere human to get the Spirit King to make a command. If I told you, it'd be no fun. So, can you or not? Oscar pressed. The spirit relented. She's allowed it. And it won't be a contract, but a simple transplant. That's enough. Thank you. Oscar replied curtly. Before leaving, the spirit added, and she told me to tell you this, don't forget your old promise, is what she said. Oscar exhaled slowly. Don't worry. I'll make sure to keep the promise. Although I couldn't keep it in my last life, because I suddenly died. I saved so many White Tower families thanks to you, so I'll make sure to repay you with interest. Later, a special lecture announcement went up. Special lecture announcement eligibility White Tower Mage contents a reinterpretation of basic magic time every Monday to Thursday, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Location main building, 36th floor, lecture room 4. Oscar murmured to himself. Before that, I need to take care of my family a bit more. Inside the lecture room, a boy looked around. "Ah, they're all faces I recognize. I thought you all had died since I hadn't seen you." A girl greeted him. The boy looked skeptical. "But is this a lecture for those up to level 3? I don't see anyone above that." "Maybe it's because it's a basic lesson. The intermediate mages are all busy," a girl suggested. Another girl added, "But it must really be true that the White Tower has more money now. I heard it's a lecture that the Vice Tower Master personally invited, and to have the lecture in the main building as well. This is the place where the Imperial Observation Seminar took place too. The lecturer must be someone impressive." "I can't wait," she smiled. Demian scoffed. "Don't make me laugh. Making such a fuss over using a lecture hall that no one uses." A girl scolded him. "Demian, aren't you being too negative? They finally invested in something. If it was an investment, they would have prepared a high-level application-based lecture like the other 4 magic towers, and not a reinterpretation of basic magic." Demian sneered. "Can't you tell when you look at the 32 people here? Only one of the low-level mages didn't come. If it were such a great lesson, as you said, I'm sure the noble 2 genius would also." "Enough chatter." A voice cut in, and with a flick of magic, the room went silent. A boy panicked. "I can't hear anything." "What the? Is it silence?" The man standing at the front gave them a cold smile. "It's nice to meet you. From today onwards, I am the lecturer who will be teaching reinterpretation of basic magic, Oscar Crushin." The students murmured in shock. "A level 2 is a lecturer." Oscar continued, unfazed. "I'm sure many of you are disappointed by the fact that I'm the lecturer." A girl whispered, "Least he's aware." Another girl grumbled. "How does it make sense for a lower-level mage to be the lecturer, even if he's our senior?" A boy added bitterly, "And he must have felt guilty, which is why he used magic so we couldn't talk." "Just what spell is this?" Oscar silenced them with a raised hand. "If you have any complaints, you can leave. You are no longer academy students receiving the control of teachers. Instead, I have a condition. You must prove your ability, demonstrating that you have no need to learn. Your time limit is 10 minutes. Within that time, say that you don't want to take my class." Quite simple, right? Oscar stood firmly at the front of the classroom, his voice steady and calm as he declared, "Your time limit is 10 minutes. Within that time, say that you don't want to take my class." Quite simple, right? A collective uproar burst through the silenced minds of the students. "Simple, my..." They all thought in protest. "Are you crazy? Making us unable to speak and telling us to do so. This is basically forcing us to take the class." But amidst the frustrated murmurs of thought, realization settled in. "This is a test," they began to analyze. "He's a level 2, so it's definitely not a silent spell. I don't know what it is, but it's definitely solvable." Demian caught on first. "In other words, he's saying that if we're not capable enough to lift the spell and speak, then we should take the class?" Oscar watched them patiently. "Let's see their capabilities. I purposely left some holes in the spell, but that doesn't mean it'll be easy." "No one." A voice broke through. "I did it." It was Demian, his defiant face clear in the silence. Oscar gave a slow nod. That child was listed among the beginner-level mages. "Yes." Demian proud, a brilliant mind but stubborn as a mule. "Congrats." Demian, arms crossed, grumbled. "It was way easier than expected, so I struggled with trying to solve it slowly." Around them, students began to realize their voices had returned. "Ha! I can hear a sound." "Ah, I was almost done." But Oscar's firm voice cut through. "Everyone quiet. Time's up." The only one to pass the test was Demian proud. Demian grinned smugly. "Of course. Then I don't need to take the class, right? As you please." Oscar replied without hesitation. Demian paused, fidgeting internally. "Since he's allowing me to do that so easily, I kind of honestly, if the first greeting is like this, I'm curious what I'll learn in the actual class. But it's kind of too much to say that I actually do want to take it." Oscar smirked knowingly. Perhaps it's because he's still a kid, but I can see everything he's thinking on his face. "I'll give you an award as the only one to pass," Oscar added, beckoning. "I'll teach you one spell. Come up on the stage." "What's the basic spell you like the most?" Demian huffed. "One cutter. Try it out." Oscar instructed. So bothersome. Demian grumbled as he cast the spell. So, is it enough? Oscar appraised it. Nice. I'll teach you Wind Cutter today. Demian blinked, then pointed. Do you not see what's floating around me? To my standard, that's not Wind Cutter, Oscar corrected. It's a half-baked version at best. There are two problems, Demian bristled. What are you doing right now? First, Oscar began, this spell isn't made of wind. Demian, what do you think wind is? Oh, wind is moving air, Demian stammered. Oscar gestured. Water is water even if it's pooled together. Fire is fire no matter what shape it takes. But wind is only wind if air is continuously moving and flowing. Ah! Demian's eyes widened in understanding. So what you made wasn't Wind Cutter, Oscar clarified. It's close to Air Cutter. As pooled water will rot, magic made with air that doesn't flow will easily lose its form, be aware. The White Tower is a place that deals with wind. In other words, our magic needs to continuously flow. If not, just as I showed earlier, it will be endlessly destroyed. Demian hesitated. What's the second problem? Oscar didn't miss the look. There's a lot of mana being needlessly used when conjuring the spell. It'll be very helpful just to lessen the amount being wasted. Demian scowled. How are you able to figure that out after only seeing it once? Oscar smiled thinly. If your magic gets to a certain stage, you can figure out a lot by seeing your opponent use magic. For example, their personality, habits, and... Can I be a little obtrusive for a second? Oscar asked, though it was rhetorical. A little bit of their past too. He spoke quietly. If you're from the proud family that has produced many high-ranking mages of the White Tower, you must have seen your family's magic while growing up. Naturally, you would have tried to follow them. And Wind Cutter must be one of the spells you tried to copy. If it was before you properly learned magic, it would have been quite difficult to imitate Wind Cutter, since it's one of the more difficult basic spells. And while you were trying to do it, you must have forcefully succeeded by using way more mana than you needed. And that habit has remained until now, since laying it thick with mana is also a method. Demian's eyes widened further. How did you know? Oscar shrugged. Since we found out the cause, you'll have a perfect Wind Cutter if you just address the problems. But since this outstanding student won't take the class, it's a shame. Demian huffed. Gosh, who said I wasn't taking it? 3 weeks later, the hallways buzzed with chatter. Have you heard the rumors? One mage asked. What? Another replied. Oscar Crushen. He was a complete star instructor. A skeptical mage frowned. But at best, won't it only be helpful to those who are at an elementary level? Who knows? A few level 4 and level 5 friends were attending though. Another mage sighed. Then do we need to go too? Honestly, I was just waiting for you to say that. Let's go right now. But it's 7. One mage pointed out. Doesn't the class start at 9? We need to stand in line in advance. If we're late, we won't even be able to attend. At the lecture room, a girl looked around surprised. Why are there so many people today? There are quite a lot of level 4 and level 5 seniors too. A boy beside her added, This is still a basic magic lesson, wait. Is that Elder Maxim back there? Is this not at the level of a Magic Academy seminar? Oscar greeted them brightly. Good morning. The spell we'll be learning today is quite important. Good on you for coming. A ripple of excitement passed through the crowd. Oh, Oscar began. The spell you must think is most important while living as a mage is wind. A few scoffed internally. That most basic of all the basics. Gosh, what a waste of time. He's teaching us such a basic spell that you can learn and use even if you're not in the White Tower. Elder Maxim raised an eyebrow. I was just gonna watch, but I'm curious, so I need to ask. Oscar, are you really gonna only teach wind after gathering all these people? Oscar immediately replied, Yes. Could I ask you to demonstrate wind? Elder Maxim smirked. Okay, wind. The gathered students gasped in awe. Wow, as expected of the elder, Oscar observed keenly. This is wind, and not gust or wind press. Is that enough? Maxim asked. Yes, thank you, Oscar replied, then called out, Then Amy Raven. Amy jolted. Yes, show your wind now. Oscar instructed. Why me? There are way more people who are better than me here. Amy stammered before raising a hand. Wind. A boy whispered, what? So soft? Another murmured, warm. Oscar glanced around. Does anyone know what the difference between their spells is? A student guessed, force and range, as well as temperature. A girl added, the vibe was different too. Temperament of the mana, Verena spoke up. Oscar smiled. Correct, Veronica Fricks. Huh. Veronica blinked. Or as Veronica said. Oscar continued. Elder Maxim and Amy Raven's spells differ in the temperament of the mana that created them. Isn't that fascinating? Although the entire process from the formation of the spell to the casting is all the same, one was as hot as a desert's wind, while the other was as soft as a spring wind. The difference was so big that it's difficult to consider it the same wind, right? He pressed on. Okay then, let me ask one more question. Who understands what the temperament of mana is? A voice offered, the 4 types of mana, enhancement, acceleration, balance, and special, you mean? Oscar shook his head. Those are the 4 systems of mana. I'm talking about temperament, which is a slightly different concept. To be exact, they are different concepts. But to understand the temperament of mana, you must learn about the White Tower's roots. In other words, balance. Who can explain why the White Tower and Blue Tower are considered the representatives of balance? Someone hesitated, then answered, because of the traits the elements have. Correct. Oscar affirmed, the Red Tower and the Gold Tower are strong and quick, but they are not harmonious. This is because there is no cold fire or lightning in this world. However, wind and water can become endlessly cold or hot. That's the reason we represent balance. He held up a flask. However, there is a clear distinction between the Blue Tower and White Tower, even though we both represent balance. For example, there is water here. The conditions for water to boil are simple. At standard atmosphere pressure, we need a temperature of 100 degrees and a little time. It's simple. But making hot wind is even simpler than boiling water. He explained. It assimilates even more easily with its surroundings, and its nature changes, like a chameleon. Veronica suddenly flinched. Ooh, hot. Someone gasped. It's cold here, though. Oscar smiled. Wind is more free than any element. It can create a strong force like the Red Tower's flames, be as fast as the Gold Tower's lightning, or possess a shape as free as the Blue Tower's water. In addition, the Blue Tower's water can't mix with oil, but wind has no such limitation. Depending on the mage's imagination, it is the sole element that can possess any temperament. Only wind can be harmonious with anything in this world. As a result, as a mage of the White Tower, be aware of how you think of and view your wind. What kind of entity you think a wind as, that is the core point of today's lesson. Okay then, Elder? Veronica called out. Maxim's voice cracked. Wind. Oscar's eyes narrowed. Wait. Maxim clutched his head. When to? Mia. Hold her. Are you okay? Veronica rushed to his side. Oscar's voice shot out, alarmed. No. Maxim trembled, muttering. I'm sure it definitely. Don't touch him. Oscar barked. Don't touch him. Oscar's sharp voice cut through the room as Maxim staggered, his breathing rough. Everyone get away from him. You cannot interrupt the elder's enlightenment. A girl watching nearby whispered anxiously. Why is he like that all of a sudden? Is hell? Oscar confirmed. Yes, he's undergoing awakening. Maxim's breath shuddered as he exhaled. Whew. Oscar leaned in. Hold her, how are you? Maxim chuckled weakly. Couldn't reach level 80, still thanks. Oscar. Oscar gave a rare, genuine smile. No, since you're the teacher here, I guess I should say thank you. That's good to hear. Maxim burst into hearty laughter. Ahaha. Oscar, watching him with a smirk, thought to himself how thanks to Maxim's awakening, his future lessons would now be far easier. Now that someone of Maxim's caliber acknowledged him, those of lower levels wouldn't be able to challenge or belittle him. But more valuable than even that was Veronica Fricks, one of the problem students noted in little Oscar's old journal. He had secured her attention. The next day, Oscar recalled Veronica mentioning something about the training room. Yesterday after class, she had approached him casually. Hey, Oscar, do you train too? Obviously, he replied. You don't use the fit room. You weren't in the rankings. The fit room. What's that? Veronica stared, almost pitying. You don't know the future innovation training room. Her eyes flashed with open contempt. Oscar had quickly realized the reason she'd been surprisingly friendly after the class was because she enjoyed the lesson. But her expression soared again the moment he revealed his ignorance about the fit room. He needed to find out why. Now, standing in front of the room, he observed it. Oh, is this it? I heard only 3 of the 300 training rooms are like this. Even the color of the doors is different. Is it that special? If they're gonna do this, why not just make magic doors that open without having to be touched? He squinted, sensing a different kind of vibe in the air. A voice greeted him. Hello, I am Argo, the next generation training support system. Oscar immediately understood. So this training room uses magic engineering. That means the Golden Tower bastards must be taking all the money. Argo continued. Upon registering the user's information, you will receive a customized training course. Would you like to register? No. Registration refused. You will train as an unregistered user. Please decide the level of training you would like. Level. There are 100 levels in this training program, and you can train by your standards. Start from level 1. Understood. Use physical or magic attacks to pop the 3 balls. If you use a wide area spell, the training will be, congratulations, you have passed level 1. Oscar smirked. Hoots like this, not bad. And I like how it added that I'm not allowed to use wide area spells. If this is level 1, then I want to raise the level. What level would you like to select? Level 100. Warning. From level 80 onward, the size of the balls is decreased, and the balls are greatly accelerated, now hostile toward the user. If you are pregnant, an elder, or a child, please suspend the challenge for the unknown dangers. Oscar scoffed. It's fine. Continue. Just how amazing is it for them to make this much of a fuss? Whose physical or magic attacks to pop the 1,000 balls? If you use a wide area spell, the training will be cancelled. If you get hit by the moving balls more than 10 times, the training will be cancelled. I just need to pop the balls. Right at this rate, my mana will run out. It'd be best to use as little power as possible. It's effective to make them small and sharp. He moved swiftly. But I think this surpasses the training level for the kids. Congratulations. You have passed level 100 point. Oscar stretched, satisfied. That's good for a warm-up. So the mages of this generation do this training since they're young. The standard for this generation's mages may be way higher than before. I need to work harder, and I need to eat well to build more muscle. A voice called out behind him. What the? I didn't think you'd come. Oscar turned to see Veronica. You're here from morning to train. Veronica. She raised an eyebrow. Do you think I'm here to eat? I thought you'd ignore what I said. What gives? I just came to visit. It's my philosophy that healthy mana comes from healthy bodies. What? That's not your philosophy. Good luck training. Veronica blinked in confusion. Did he eat something bad this morning? And why did he just quote Oscar Sage's famous saying as if it were his own? Why did the bastard who used to look down on me, just because he came from a noble family, even though we're both orphans, suddenly change? I was just feeling him out when I asked about this place. Argo, level 50 as a warm-up, she ordered. Understood. Veronica glanced at the ranking board. Is there no change to the rankings? Is Killian still? There is. What? Her heart skipped. Ho, me. Due to personal information security, I cannot tell you. Her face darkened. Was it Elder? No, only those below level 5 get ranked. They beat the Devils 10 minutes. Isn't that a first on the continent? It is a first. Then who is that first? Due to personal information security, I cannot tell you. Veronica growled. Orc. Is it Oscar Crushin? Due to personal information security, I cannot tell you. Whatever. Buzz off. Swearing is bad. Meanwhile, Oscar sighed to himself, stretching. Will I be sore tomorrow? Oscar. Maxim's voice boomed as he approached. Older. Good morning. Have you eaten yet? I just did. Perfect timing. I had something to ask you about. What is it? Fid and Lena told me that the market merchants aren't buying out potions. Oscar's face tensed. What? Why could it be? Maxim nodded grimly. Yeah. I think they're wary of the Azure Tower. You're the core of potion production, so I thought you needed to know. We'll look into resolving this. Pathetic bastards. How should I screw them over? Oscar muttered under his breath. Others passing by took notice. What's up with Oscar today? Has his personality gone to shit again? Oscar paid them no mind and frowned at the long line outside the cafe. And why is the line to the cafe so long today? Where are you going today? Someone called. The mail from 1st to 5th Bell Road. Post office. Lucky you. Huh. But did you hear? Starting today, they're going to increase our wage. Oscar squinted at a group of uniformed delivery workers. Are these guys those wind riders? I think so. One man sighed. Finally, well, it did look like we could finally breathe lately. But then, wouldn't it be enough to just focus on potions and stop our delivery business? Another shook his head. You know the Magic Tower Master is serious when it comes to deliveries. I don't really understand why. Why is he so bent on such a small market? Oscar thought carefully. Delivery definitely isn't a big market. You have to use a lot of workers, but you can't make much money, and it's not political either. So you don't gain more power through it. The one benefit it has is that it receives the overwhelming highest citizen evaluation of all the business fields that all the magic towers have. One man grinned. Let's keep working hard though. There are lots of good moments. Another agreed. That's true. Plus when we give the elderly heavy delivery services, they give us food to eat because we're working hard. Excuse me, Oscar called, approaching them. Can I ask you one thing? A boy turned, surprised. Huh, Oscar? When delivering, do you bump into people often? Yes. We need the recipient's signature to show that we properly delivered the items. That was very helpful. Thank you. What? Later, Hamel looked wary. So, you want to make use of our wind riders, the delivery service people, to do door-to-door sales. Exactly. I get it. Since the merchants aren't working, you want to target the consumers directly. But isn't that realistically impossible? Our potions aren't really used in everyday lives. I can just make new ones. Innovation. Allow me to borrow a pen and paper. Go ahead. You don't even need to call it innovation. There's a mid-level recovery potion that has the greatest effect in the White Tower. We can slightly adjust that potion to be divided into 4 based on age and gender. We can have these as our main targets, and we can even develop them to make it so that repeated consumption is possible. That way, the skin elasticity potions and muscle enhancement potions can both be consumed together. We just need to adjust it, so the ingredients aren't excessive, and then it'll be possible. He mused. Should we change the language while we're at it? Potions might be a bit difficult for ordinary citizens to approach. Oh, Oscar. What'll be good, since it helps supplement nutrients to the body? At the post office, an old man muttered, Know that I've grown older. I'm not as energetic as before. Old man Grom. A young delivery boy called. Oh, you're here? Nice to see you again after yesterday. You sure are popular. You have a letter today. So my friend's still alive. The boy grinned. People say this is the generation of the 100-year-olds. Why would he die? The generation of the 100-year-olds. Even I, an 80-year-old man, have noticed that my head and body are getting heavier. Old man, are you hurt somewhere? It's not that. I just don't have much energy. Then would you like to try this, old man? What is that? It's our Magic Tower's newest creation. It's a tonic. To be continued. We'll cover the next story very soon. Stay tuned. If you like the story, let me know in the comments.